We represent the ruling body of the vampire nation. They're offering you a truce. They want to meet with you.
They'll take us in deeper than we've ever been.
Our forces are ready to fight, but we need a leader.
They're no longer top of the food chain.
Let me get this right. You want me to hunt them? For you?
You sure about this?
Keep your friends close. Keep your enemies closer.
Here I am, Blade.
Ooh, so exciting. Blade 2.
I have a feeling we were already demonetized for the music. So,
dude, there's music everywhere in this.
it's okay. I don't mind as long as we don't get ripped down. I don't care. It's like the monetization is. Lance just showed up backstage. Also,
cool.
We were pushing it as far as we could for Lance, but let's get the guests in real quick. You know,
yeah, dude, let's get everyone out.
Hailing from an era when franchises were protected and gatekeeping was expected, we have Golden Age Geek making his return. How you doing today, buddy?
Oh, yes. I have returned at last. The last one I did was the first Blade movie, so I'm back for the second, and I'm very looking forward to talking about this movie.
Me too.
Dude, me too. We only have you for about 2 hours, so guys.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why we're gonna move quick. So, because we only have him for 2 hours, so we're gonna move fast into this. Next, the protocol droid with the hemorrhoids, Z3PO, also making his return.
Good afternoon, Master Dark Hour. Pleasure to be with you once again.
Yes. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Pleasure to have you on, Z, man. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much. I'm much looking forward to getting into the dirty, nitty-gritty bits of this movie with you guys.
It is a dirty movie, too. It's Guillermo del Toro's signature.
Shunning the light side and shunning the dark side and embracing the light. We have Jedi Brooks. I fucked up your intro.
That's why I'm like nice, smooth, ready to talk about vampires. What's up, guys?
Doing good, man. Yeah. Coming from the past and the future, finally. Jedi Brooks thought the stream was 2 weeks ago.
So. Yeah, I know. I'm 2 weeks early, technically. Like that's what I was saying.
Yep.
Yeah, he was so prepared for it, and just squeaking in past the finish line here, we have Lance from the Outcast Creative, who did not even realize we had this stream.
I was so prepared for it that I was doing a random gaming stream on my channel.
He's the opposite of Jedi Brooks today.
But now that Z3PO is here, I get all tingly at the sound of his robotic Julian Clary-like voice.
Oh,
He does have a great voice.
You're welcome to touch me up under the table whenever you like. So.
I know I'm where I'm supposed to be on my Saturday evening now.
Oh well, yeah, it's a pleasure to have everyone on for Blade 2. This time, I promise you, we're not gonna have any hiccups, which will cost us 4 hours of a stream. So we're all good now. And just wanted to say hi to everyone in the chat. Hello, Tyler Wolf. Great to have you on, man. Well, Tyler's gonna be on soon, actually, right? For
next
Volume 2.
Yeah, Kill Bill. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, next one. And we do have a super chat from Blue Collar Loser. Thank you, Chris. Dark Hour, you want to take this one?
Sure. Love this movie. One of the few sequels I feel surpasses the original. Shame, though, until Black Panther came out, no black superheroes existed.
Yeah.
No, Meteor Man. Everybody forgets about Meteor Man.
Okay, no black Marvel heroes existed.
I know. It's like Marvel and DC just have this like patent where nobody talks about other superheroes. But I remember Meteor Man way back in the day. It was at least fun.
Well, there's also that Shaquille O'Neal movie, right?
Steel.
Nobody counts that. Nobody counts.
Yeah, Steel is good. Thank you, Chris, man. And we have Smilex in the chat. Hey, Otter, how you doing? Eraserhead is also here. Max Vroom Fondel. Hey, thank you guys for showing up, man. Who else do we have? We have the Pumpkin King himself, Blade Part 2. Yes. Rennie. Hi, Rennie.
We don't talk about Blade Trinity. Actually, backstage, I was just telling all these guys are contractually obligated to come back to Blade Trinity.
Dude, Dark Hour is gonna run 2 hosts by him. So he's gonna be one host.
Where he got no one has anything to say about that movie. It's just
gonna be me. It's just gonna be me talking about Blade Trinity by myself.
I like Blade Trinity, so you can shut the hell up.
Melvin, how you doing, man? True Pop Culture 7, yo, doing good, man. How about you?
He'll be on soon too. We got everybody's
Yeah, True
out
Pop
in
is
the
coming on soon as well. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. And yeah, everyone in the chat, thank you guys for spending your what is it today? Saturday, right? Yeah, we're Saturday, not Sunday. Sorry, my brain is a bit fried today. So yeah.
2 Hoes 21. The next one will be 2 Ho. It will be 22 Hoes will be the next one. So
yes, 22 Hoes. We're also gonna have 2 Hoes versus 2 soon. So it's gonna be 2 Hoes, 2 verses. So yeah. Sequels. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I just need some contestants. So if anybody's interested, just let me know. Can't be Lance though, because he was on the last one.
All right. So I guess we're gonna do a roundtable about everyone's experiences with Blade 2. And I guess we should start with Z. Where were you the first time that you saw Blade 2?
Unfortunately, there was no cinema trip for me at all. As in 2002, I had 2 little babies.
Ooh.
So unfortunately, I didn't get to watch this until its DVD release.
Oh, nice. Well, I mean, I was born in 2002, so you may be my father. Who knows?
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
Yeah. I mean, what did you think about it the first time you saw it, especially in comparison to Blade 1?
I thought it was great. It was a lot faster. It was a lot more action-packed, and the plot moved along at an almost OCD like pace. So yeah, I'm thoroughly on board. Like many people have said, this is one of the few films that surpasses its original, and it really is an enjoyable thing to watch again. I watched it again last night with the missus, and we absolutely loved it. The only thing I'm critical about it is there's a more heavier influence, which I think is from the Matrix movies, and they tend to resort more to vamp fu than weapons combat, which was would have been my few criticisms about the movie. But I think that's due to riding the popularity of the Matrix, and I think the second Matrix film came out at the same time.
Yeah, around that time.
Blade was 2002, and the first one was 98, so it would have been within that couple of years where everyone was kind of influenced from the Matrix suddenly.
Yeah, Matrix 99, Blade Equilibrium. Equilibrium was I think 2001. Matrix 2 and 3 were 2003, and then Blade 2 2002. Yeah. So yeah. And Brooks, what about you, man? What was your first experience with Blade 2?
I remember watching Blade 1 way after, just I think randomly on TV and just loving it. And when the second one came out, I can't remember why I didn't see it in theaters, but I definitely got it from Blockbuster and I watched it like a million times. I just loved how they kept everything that was cool about the character and just took it to a whole new level with action. I kind of feel like they took the same route that the Alien franchise took, where the first Blade movie and the first Aliens is a better vampire movie and a better horror movie. But then the second one, they took a lot of things that worked and just made the action so much more entertaining just for the casual appeal. And it's just one of the OG action movies and one of my all-time favorite practical effects with the Reapers, those vampire guys. It's just when I think of what I like when it comes to things like the Orkai or the Reapers, that's the top tier for me. For those are ever not going to be surpassed because the age that I saw them and the significance that they had on me. But yeah, Blade 2 is one of my all-time favorite action movies. Seen it a million times.
Especially when you get Guillermo del Toro behind the camera, the practical effects are going to be fantastic.
Yes. Even Blade, even Fat Pearl from the first one. I liked that, and they took everything that worked with those things and made it even 10 times better in the second one. It's kind of why I'm so bitter about Blade 3, because there's nothing there I can really compliment in the practical effects. I don't remember anything.
No redeeming qualities except for
Don't worry. We're gonna have plenty to discuss about that when it comes around. We're gonna be
See, I'm
forcing all of you on here.
We'll be in the chat talking shit.
We sold our souls to the devil.
Yeah, Dark Hour is just gonna collect our souls, and he's probably gonna do some weird sacrifice to bring us back. But Lance, what about you? Where were you the first time you saw Blade 2?
Saw it at the cinema, I believe, at the Camden Odeon in London. I can't tell you that much about it because I had my brain hemorrhage not long after this film came out, and that wiped out my memory for pretty much the preceding 4 to 5 years. So I've got no memory of my cinema experience of seeing. I know I saw it at the cinema because I've got the ticket. I kept all my cinema tickets. Remember, I've shown them on streams.
Yeah, I love that you keep them. That's such a cool
so.
I wish I would have did that.
That's back in the days when they still issued paper tickets, you know. But yeah, I don't have. I've got no memory of that time. So, but I saw it again on video sometime later. I mean, I like the fact that you know, Del Toro's stamp is really on the visuals, and the design of the Reapers is something he would replicate in the book that he brought out some years later, which was then turned into that vampire miniseries, The Strain, exactly.
Yeah.
But I've also got Danny John Jules, who played Assad, is a friend of mine.
Nice.
Good friend. And I'm so glad that I definitely remembered the stream was on tonight and didn't suddenly leave him a message on WhatsApp about 3 minutes ago saying, Danny, have you got a story for me about Blade 2? So I might suddenly remember a story at some point in the stream if my phone buzzes. But I do remember he told me he had an absolute blast working on it because we talked about it before. And he really enjoyed the experience, and he was always like, he was like a little child when he talked about working with Wesley Snipes, who I think was a bit of a hero of his, you know.
Wesley Snipes was huge after Blade 1.
In terms of in terms of the film, I mean I preferred the first film to this one. I think just because it felt so fresh. But the big surprise for this movie for me, because I think it was one of the first acting outings for Luke Goss, and as Z3PO will tell you, because he's the head of the Bros fan club in London, that's one half of boy band Bros. And you'd never have thought that Luke Goss would have gone, you know, into acting, and he's actually really good in this movie.
He's great.
Yeah, and that really surprised a lot of people. I think when people heard he was casting, everybody was like, "What?" You know, and he was one of the sort of first actors from a boy band to do a really serious film, from what I can remember.
So, I never even knew that he was.
Who are you referring to
there? Jared Nomak.
He plays the main villain.
Nomak.
Oh, Nomak.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know who that was.
He's one half of the boy band. If you Google the British boy band Bros, BROSS, look at get one of the pictures of them up, and you won't believe it. Get one of their early boy band pictures up.
Not gonna lie, the picture they have of him on Wikipedia, he looks a little bit like Andrew Tate.
But I want to see a picture of him, like one of his pin-up posters. Yeah. It's, you know.
Oh yeah, he was big in the late 80s. They had
he had like long blonde hair.
Hits.
Wow.
Yeah, Z will know all the details. He'll have all the albums and. So
I thought Nomak was fantastic, man. It's crazy that it was his first album.
Yeah, dude, he moved with the exaggerated swagger of an
angry former boy band member. Yeah, it's definitely what.
But you can't put these same two guys in a room now without them breaking out into an argument. There's a whole documentary about them doing a comeback tour, and
it's boy band stuff.
Another actor that I know that's in the show is Tony Curran, who plays the
priest.
Yeah,
the red-haired dude.
Super lovely guy in real life, massively talented. So I think the casting in this is really good because you've got like Norman Reedus before he became really big. Ron Perlman,
Donnie Yen before he became really
Donnie
big.
Yen, yeah.
Oh God, is he ever wasted in this one?
We'll get into it. Don't worry. We still have one more person on the panel who hasn't given us his first shot.
Sorry, anyway, that I'll shut up. That's plenty. That's plenty to dig into.
Oh, we love you, lads. All right, Golden Age. Where were you the first time you saw Blade 2?
Well, the first time I watched this movie was last year. I watched all three of these movies like back to back. So it was late last year. I think it was just before our stream reviewing the first Blade movie.
Yeah, that's why we got you on, because you said on Twitter that you were watching
Yeah.
it for the first time, the entire trilogy.
Did you do all three like the very first time you saw them in one go? Oh wow, that must have been pretty cool actually.
Yeah,
until you got to the third one.
Now, especially when you get to talk about the third one later this year, it's going to be great.
No. Go ahead, Golden Age.
As for overall thoughts on this movie, I thought that it was the first one sort of felt like we were following the perspective of Karen. She was sort of like the audience surrogate. So with this one, we get more of a view from Blade. We get more of a view of the vampire world. We get more engrossed in the lore. So that is what really sort of it brings me into this movie. It adds a lot. It enriches the world that the first movie set up. So I thought that's what this movie does perfectly. And of course, you have all the action as well. It sort of comes off in this movie as a bit more sort of like cyberpunkish with all the different vehicles that they use, and particularly the one in the opening with the motorcycle. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be quiet and we'll get into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2002 when you see motorcycles in the movie. I don't know why, but the early 2000s, so 2000 till about 2004, you always had a Yamaha in a movie for some reason.
I think it was because of the Fast and the Furious. Yeah.
Well, and John Woo.
Yeah, there was bike. Yeah, there were the two.
John Woo influence way before Fast and Furious, man.
Oh yeah,
but John Woo is who brought cycles into action films and made them cool.
I remember. Well, Mission Impossible 2 as well.
The last fight scene, or the last scene, pretty much in the Fast and the Furious, is 2 cars versus 2 bikes. Like you're forgetting.
Yep. Now I remember. Yeah. And
bikes
then,
are a big part of it.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go. My first experience with Blade 2, I don't even remember it, to be honest with you guys. I just remember knowing about Blade 2 for some reason. So I think I watched it when I was a kid. Because I did have faint memories of that. But then a few years ago, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, I rewatched it because I'm a Guillermo del Toro fanboy. And yes, I was just going through his entire filmography, and I really, really liked Blade 2. I love Norman Reedus in it because it's one of the rare movies where Norman Reedus doesn't play Norman Reedus. So I really like that. And I just thought it was a fantastic film. I thought it's Blade 1, but better, in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Dark Hour, what about you, man?
So I don't remember the very first time I watched. I just know that I watched the shit out of this movie. So I remember, when I was younger, and they had those Descrambler boxes for like because you would attach it to your cable and you would like steal a pay-per-view. And a lot of times those pay-per-view channels were just on loop. They would just go over and over and over again. And I remember when around that time, Blade 2 was on it, so I watched it over and over and over again. I thought it was such a cool, that I love the choreography. I like the dungeon crawl feel that it has, especially like when they get into the sewers later on. And all the characters, even the ones that are underrepresented, like Donnie Yen, were just really cool. All of them. This movie is just cool. It's cool incarnate, and that's pretty much it. I just watched the shit out of it. It was like a bunch of times in a row, and I barely had to rewatch it for this stream.
It's one of those movies. It's one of the, just to add to your point, it's one of those movies that like you reference in terms of which movies get the pass, the cool pass. Yeah. Just the rule of cool. Just fucking. There's plenty of flaws. There's plenty of issues, and I personally think the first one is a better movie, like more substantive and just a better story overall. But there's so much fun. Like this is a movie where like if it's on, you're not going to change to the next channel. You're just going to watch from whatever part you pop into.
And it's not that long too. So it's I think it's like an hour 40.
The pacing,
it's an hour 50, but the pacing is so good.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
There's just so much to enjoy.
Well, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Just wanted to see these 2 comments. I really wish we'd got Del Toro's version of The Hobbit. Yeah. I wish too, but if he had done The Hobbit, we wouldn't have gotten Pacific Rim, and Pacific Rim is a fucking masterpiece in my opinion. So yeah, I'm glad that we got Peter Jackson's The Hobbit instead. And I read the Strain books and loved the FX show. The second I read the Strain, I knew it was using Reapers. Yep. It's interesting because FX around, let's say 2014 till about 2018, they were adapting a lot of the these indie comics for some reason. Which I really do appreciate it. But the Strain, That's what they reminded me of. I was actually looking the entire time, thinking about where it was from, and yeah, the Reaper's design is just something else. But I guess we'll get into it.
So amazing, everything about it.
Yeah, hey, Big C.
It was a good combination of like practical makeup with CG. Like obviously they had to CG some of it, but it's not.
But the CG still holds up.
It's back when they respected the blending of it, though. Like this
Yeah.
is one of those times that, like, you know, this.
Don't worry, we'll get to that. We'll get to the Reapers soon enough. They're pretty quick in the movie. So.
Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, New Line Cinema, aka the house that Freddy built. If in case you guys didn't know, Freddy Krueger is the reason why New Line Cinema exists. It's the reason why Blade is here. So yeah, I love Pacific Rim. Thank you. So we start off the movie in the Paryska Blood Bank. In Prague, the Czech Republic, which I do already like the setting that the film employs. Where was the first movie in, if you guys remember? Was it just New York or something?
Well, majority of it takes place in New York, but they do have scenes in Europe.
The scene at the end, he was in Russia.
Yeah, that was the scene at the end. Yeah,
which would lead. Yeah,
it picks up directly
he's trying
to
to track down the trace of
Whistler. Yep, exactly. And so, yeah, so we're at the blood bank, and it is a vampire blood bank, ladies and gentlemen, where they pay you in cash and they even accept blood in a jar. That sounds very unhealthy. I mean, weird. And so of course we get a little bit of, as Golden Age Geek said before, more world building on the Blade world, which is really, really interesting. And one thing that he does say here when we meet our villain, Nomak, is it's a throwaway line, but I did write it down because they say that how he got his scar on his chin was a childhood accident, which when you're first watching the movie, you're like, okay, but eventually when you know the end, it's pretty interesting to see that he wasn't lying. It was a childhood accident. And his blood has a rare phenotype, which is why they strap him in and they try and, do some weird stuff. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we get our first look at the new villain. So technically, this was a hate crime because
he just wrecks the whole room.
Yeah.
I do if you go back one slide, just one thing I want to point out. Here? You mentioned that the house that Freddy built. I mean, just look at the hand right there.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Very much a reference to Freddy Krueger.
Holy shit, you're right. Yeah, that's probably completely what that is.
Oh yeah,
cool. I actually like that. I was gonna say before that, even leading into this scene, the atmosphere they managed to capture of just desperation, everyone's coughing and just like run down. You can just really see that people are desperate for this and like this is the only option. And he does look into the camera and say, "I hate vampires," so they're like setting that up from the beginning.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do love how they don't show the full bite transformation early.
Yeah,
so it leaves a whole lot to the imagination on those first few kills.
Oh, yeah,
they knew what they were doing.
They just show a weird spider thing. You'd think that he's actually just throwing a spider, but it's later on that you learn that that's actually what their tongues look like.
From that setup, something is going to be unique about them, but you would never in a million years imagine the whole crazy spread. Yeah, it's just you're not going to see that coming. I'll never forget seeing that the first time.
Hey, Mr.
And also
C.
with this opening scene, when I first saw it, I got the impression of, oh, this guy's just a throwaway character, and we're gonna see these three people here just totally own him. But then it completely flips down his head, and he just absolutely slaughtered them. So I thought, oh, okay, because I've seen that quite often in a lot of movies where they'll have a character dressed like him on the streets or so, and they're sacrificed to show you the threat. And then with this one, they went, psych.
Yep. You're completely right. I think that was intentional. That just because that's what I like about the setup is they really, in a few minutes, prove to you how desperate this guy is, and it feels like these guys have full control. And you're like, oh man, he's screwed. And nobody really expects him to just stomp out the whole room and kill them all. Like, you don't really see that coming.
So coming through all sickly, coughing, and even his voice.
It's a bit of a twist. It kind of works.
He's playing up the "I'm sick and need money."
Yeah, no CGI blood. Yeah, completely practical blood, huge blood splatter.
Actual real blood. They actually went and they opened this blood bank and had people bring in jarred blood. And
See, things like that is where like you should never be CGIing blood. You're just a lazy fuck. Like it just it doesn't look. There's just no reason for it.
Yeah, it never looks good.
Only on the humans, though. For the movie to get its R rating, green blood was used for the Reapers.
I like twists like that. Even the black blood for the Orokai. And like you got to make little adjustments here and there. But CGI blood, come on. Like come on.
CGI blood is weird, especially the fact that they use a lot of presets in CGI blood. They don't really do anything from scratch. So sometimes you can see the same blood splatter in 10 different movies because they're using the same preset, which is horrible.
That's
bad. And ladies and gentlemen, Blade 2.
The first movie sort of did use CGI blood quite a lot. I remember the shot in the first movie where Deacon's hand gets chopped off or something, and then it reforms, and you see all that blood.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody.
Well, that was really just for the blood god they used.
All the people who love Blade 1 all agree those shots look terrible. Like it, Deacon Frost ending with the whole like seizure bubbly body. What was that?
Very the bubbly blood.
It looked good when you saw it in the day. It looks terrible now.
It never looked good. It's just
the only time I enjoy it in the first movie is when he gets cut in half and then it like brings him back together.
Yeah,
only one is
that. You know what? That was the one shot where like it looked too cool till you get the rest of pass. But you know what does look amazing? The bone, like the effect they had for the vampires since the first and second.
Oh yeah.
They almost overuse this effect. They almost overuse it, but it's so cool that you once again you give it a pass. You're just like, nah, it's fine.
Different variation. I wish they mixed up the variations of speed sometimes instead of just making it instant. I would like seeing it happen over like a minute even.
The thing that I find hilarious about these flame deaths is that the clothes also go with it. Like there's not even like a shirt left or something or a shoe.
I think it's because they're
like
implying the heat that it creates is like that intense. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think it's like their body just heats so much that it just evaporates everything around it, like spontaneous combustion. You know, that's
Z. What were you about to say?
I would just love to see one of them explode and see their chains just fall to the floor and their fangs in their teeth.
They do that in Scary Movie 4, where they're parodying War of the Worlds, and when the monsters come through with the lasers, all you see is like the clothes fall, and they pan on two black dudes who are running, and the monster swipes them, and you just see like the huge chains, all the blades fall to the ground. It's great.
That's perfect.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, you play with those things.
And so so we catch up on Blade doing Blade shit, of course, directly going into the action, killing everyone he sees in sight. And
whoa! You skipped a whole bunch. I was gonna ask, is this the first like superhero landing or like one of the most like first iconic ones? Because I actually like this one.
The one where he jumps down.
There it is. Because this is one of those. It became a trope, like normal, but. This is within his character to do. He actually seems like he's in a rush and he's trying to catch up to them as they're going into the vehicle. So like there's utility to this leap. It's not just some flashy superhero landing compared to like what it's turned into. So I remember
also he uses it immediately as a shooting position. He doesn't linger on it. He's not like
it's funny. This movie is over 20 years old, and that's still probably my favorite superhero landing because it looks good and there's like it makes sense for him to be in that type of hurry.
And in this movie, he does about 2 or 3 different types of superhero landing, and every single one of them looks as more impressive than the other.
It's true. And I think just to add on what you guys were saying about the superhero landing, I think it's also a way to show the audience his power, because just before the vampires that he's chasing, they use the ladder and they climb down they don't climb down, they try and slide down.
Struggling down. They compare the struggle of these guys who are in the ultimate hurry. They're running for their lives compared to just the smooth efficiency of Blade. He's done this 1,000 times right into the position for the shot. Like it's not cheesy at all. It could have been just completely corny, but I just think they nailed that, and it holds up after all these years.
Oh yeah, I think it's fantastic. It just makes Blade so cool. I think Blade was cool in the first movie, but he's just way cooler in the second one.
That was just like I'm back, bitches.
At this point, and I would argue that Wesley Snipes might have been the coolest motherfucker on the planet at this point.
Yeah.
So
Hey, Ryu. Nah, don't worry, you're here, man. We just started, so it's good.
Yeah, you're good.
And of course, Blade is doing Blade shit. He's just killing everyone in cool ways.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just about to say the wire thing is pretty interesting because in the first movie you didn't really see him use his vampire powers. I think it's because of the CG. Now in this movie you have a lot of CG body doubles that like you can tell. So they try and make his movement way more way more crazy. You see the way that he does the backflip to get on this dude just to be able to strangle him with the wire. So you do see more of the vampire side of Blade in this movie than you did in the first one. Which
for anyone who's never seen Blade, they had to make sure in this one scene you get to see all the variety of tactics and weapons he uses and all of his abilities. Like a quick recap on his whole like skill set for anyone who didn't see the first movie, because like it's very important. It's very important that you know how badass this guy is right away in this movie for you to understand the plot.
Yep, and Blade is just a badass, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, he gets this guy who is irrelevant till the very, very end, which I love. And he tries to torture him to get the information out of what's his name, Whistler's location. And he's about to throw his head on the motorbike wheel, but he doesn't, because the dude eventually does lead him to the safe house where Blade just shows us what he's capable of. So let me play the clip.
Get you later.
So
very relevant line. What was that, Lance?
Yep.
What was that, Lance?
I was just saying, it saves on cleaning bills, you know, all those clothes blowing up.
The one dude, I like the one gets like stabbed right in the balls, and then like that's the worst because then he burns up from there.
Yep.
Like,
I like the set design in this place as well. Like you're only here for like a few frames at a time here in the last shot, but it does really look like a vampire's hideout. All the aesthetics, the drinks on the table there. This looks like blood and vodka or something to me, right?
Was this the scene, or is it later when they're doing like blood laced cocaine?
This was it.
Okay, yeah, they have like they break out.
Yeah,
blood laced. I couldn't remember if it was this or the next time.
It's just fun. Play with it, you know. Play with the
concept,
the world. Yeah,
I was gonna say, you know, I just want to say this really, really quickly because it's probably something I would have done at the beginning. I totally forgot though. But I've mentioned this with Uninspired many times before. Like I think vampires, a lot of the reasons people appreciate vampires is that they have an inherent like rule set like about them where like superheroes, a lot of people just scoff at them because they have no idea what the fuck the rules are, and it's not really balanced in a way. But everybody understands how vampires work to a certain degree, and just that alone gives people like they're more open to taking vampire movies and vampire like media seriously. And that's what I noticed.
Oh yeah. It's because like the set of rules doesn't really change. They can bend them a bit, but overall it never changes. You never have the breaking of the rules of sunlight, and if you do, it's through someone like Blade, who's a hybrid.
There's
brings its own set of problems. You know,
there's an interesting foundation there that you can actually work with, and that's one of the things I love about vampires.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And yeah, so we finally find Whistler in this weird, I guess, you know, the beer making tank. That's what I would call it.
Fermented Whistler.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. They probably went into a brewery and they were like, yeah, let's just transform this thing. And so they find Whistler, and what he does is he takes Whistler home after, of course, hesitating to kill him. They do that moment where he has that moment of hesitation, and he brings him back to HQ, where we finally meet Norman Reedus, ladies and gentlemen, who is playing
Daryl Dixon.
Yeah,
and that was my first thought when I saw him. I was like, "Oh, it's Daryl."
He's welding. Let me see. Do you have the clip of it? The entrance?
No.
Oh, damn.
You have the entrance.
He does actually look like Daryl Dixon in that shot.
He
basically,
does,
with his cut and everything.
Like
we brought in
Daryl in every movie.
We brought in a welding specialist. Everybody.
Yeah, the welding specialist is with us, ladies and gentlemen.
But a lot of welder smoke. He does look the part for
and he smokes throughout every single time you see him on screen. He's smoking.
Honestly, Norman Reedus has just kind of looked the same age forever. Like he's like he doesn't look much older now.
Yeah, he's aged pretty well. Like he does not look that much worse than this. Just like 20 years ago. Consider, you know?
I mean, I wonder if Guillermo del Toro is actually the dude that discovered Norman Reedus and put him in the mainstream. And I'm not talking about Blade 2. I'm talking about this is the second time he's actually worked with Guillermo del Toro. I don't know if you guys have seen Mimic from 1997.
I think
Mimic,
maybe
huge bugs that look like people.
I
in New
saw
York.
it. I saw it in the cinema. That one.
Yeah, if any of you guys haven't seen Mimic, it's a great 1997 bug movie by Guillermo del Toro. Huge, like human-sized bugs in the subway. It's great, really good. And Norman Reedus is in the movie for Norman Reedus is in the movie for 2 minutes. If any of you guys are familiar, he plays the dude in the sewage who discovers the bug body. So that was the first time I ever saw Norman Reedus. Was 1997 Mimic. Hopefully, maybe Guillermo del Toro did discover him.
No, he's someone who, like, especially after The Shape of Water, I really was surprised that I loved that movie as much as I did. Like, he's someone I want to go back and like check out almost all of his stuff.
Oh, dude, you should, honestly. I hate The Shape of Water, but you should.
What the hell? You do, really?
Yeah, dude.
Well, that's fine because the shape water just takes the shape of whatever you put it in. So
what the hell? I've never heard anyone interesting.
Maybe I have to rewatch it, to be honest with you, but I didn't like it the first time, and I haven't seen it since that time. So
no.
I may have to rewatch it. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that.
Right.
So what we get right now is the fact that Whistler is there, and he's at the HQ with, of course, Scud and Blade. And what Blade does is inject him with an accelerated retroviral detox, just a bunch of buzzwords basically. And what it's gonna do is try and remove the vampirism from Whistler. And
are we gonna talk about how he totally died in the first movie? They just cheated. Like,
yeah,
this is like the original retcon. Like, this was the movie that made me be like, I see what you did there. Like, yeah, you guys just cheated. Like, I like him too, but wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We know what happened here.
Somehow Whistler returned.
I think this was my first moment of like, yeah, I see what you did there, fuckers. But like,
it's the way that they do it too, because does that mean that vampirism just cures you from death at that point? Because I would assume the Whistler shot himself in the head for sure.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite like death scenes. Even the way like he talks to Blade, like he's like cussing him out almost at the end. You know,
I don't know if you know this, but this was originally supposed to be a prequel storyline. And that's how they were going to have him back in the film, and they were just going to set it before the one we saw originally. But then then there were too many problems with that, and then somebody just said, bollocks, no one will care." And that's basically what they went with.
So what I was just saying was correct then. Okay, that's pretty much just said, forget it.
They went,
I mean, they could have. There was, and I was thinking about this when I was watching it. They could have with one line. They could have with one line offset this, and because he clearly shoots himself in the head. That's an obvious. He could have easily just been like, "Yeah, I shot myself too soon" or something, or like or too like at the wrong timing, and I healed instead, or something like that. It could have been.
They could have put more effort into explaining it, but I feel like they just we know. Come on, guys, you guys want to see Whistler again? Like, come on, we're killing vampires. Whistler's got to be here. Fuck it. Like that.
I remember Whistler.
Yeah, they just needed to bring him back. So that's what this really. I think that this is a problem in the movie, but I can accept it. Okay, I can accept it because I guess it just blends the rule of cool. Because Whistler does have some of the best lines in the movie sometimes.
I don't think it creates a problem for this movie, but it's an obvious breaking of your rules. Like, you guys cheated, but like, fine, I'm on board.
It's one of the. It's like I said, it's one of the times I wish they would have at least come up with some bullshit line to explain it.
Well, it's also the fact that, like, right after this, he cures Whistler's vampirism, and you can see by Whistler's teeth when he picks him up that he clearly is a vampire. Or at least is like transforming into one, which I would assume he would have transformed into one during the course of the 2 years that he's disappeared. So the fact that he just has the vampire cure, and
once again, another thing that they could have had the line for. It's like, yes, they held me in a state of half vampirism, so that way I couldn't get all the benefits or some shit. Like, they could have done like that. I'm saying.
This is why it's just easier to say you guys just cheated and just moved on. Like, they didn't put a lot of thought into it. Like,
or just have him be a vampire. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, true.
And I just love the black and white of this line. Come morning, those shutters are going up. Either you'll be cured or you'll fry.
I really do
so
appreciate
there
that.
is no middle ground with Blade. He's either going to be human or he's going to die a vampire.
It all works through Blade's performance. The fact that he's taking it seriously. He's like, I'm not just going to be soft because it's Whistler. You know, that line is actually really potent.
Yeah, and even the fact that he's just sitting here on the bedside, he doesn't go to sleep or anything the entire night, just waiting for it. And with the flashbacks that you see, because of course they cut back to when Whistler told him to give him the gun so that he can shoot himself. You get the flashback, and you can tell that Blade is actually just struggling about the fact that he might have to kill Whistler in the morning. But yeah,
look at this guy. He's so pragmatic. This is what Mando should have been. He's a better Mando. He's a better Mando. Mando sucks. He's so stupid.
This is Black Mando.
Yeah, seriously. When has Mando ever made a decision like this that was just like strategic?
I love his trench coat. By the way, this is like probably the coolest trench coat ever. With that, the blood red. The blood red liner is so awesome.
It's very much like a Nosferatu cape, isn't it?
Beautifully inspired by Nosferatu.
And the built-in hole for to sheath his sword is so cool. It's like it's the practicality of the way they use everything with him is cool too. Like all of his weapons are innately part of his armor that or like later on the gauntlets and stuff.
Well, he always carries everything on him, and everything they make sure to show you that he carries it on him.
But it's always within like a realistic grip section or something. It's not like it's not in a belt that he has to reach back here like Batman.
There's nothing nonsensical about it, and everything else, all the flashiness is due to his personality and the fact that he's a vampire. Like he can get away with some of these things, you know. But his suit actually seems pretty practical. It's not just overboard.
Oh yeah.
What Wesley Snipes does so well is that he can have the straightest face ever, but there's more emotion coming from him than like some other actors who are emoting. Like it's kind of when we talked about the Whistler death scene in the first Blade movie, what he does is Blade walks off and he has this straight face and he puts on his glasses, but you can see the struggle inside without any sort of twitching of the face, anything like that. And it's sort of this as well.
That's my favorite scene in the whole movie. Him walking away from Whistler and the lack of reaction when the shot happens, but you still know the inner conflict is there. And then you see him doing his prep by himself for the first time before he goes to like fuck up that whole building. And that whole like 10-15 minutes, I think is like almost the best part of Blade. Like
the one thing I will say that just annoys me about this frame, it's awesome. I wish they could have. The OCD in me just wishes they would have shifted him about like a foot left, or I guess right.
Well, I mean, 1,000% agree. They center him. I just took the screenshot like this.
Okay, we're blaming you then.
Yeah, blame me on this one. Don't blame Guillermo, dude. He did a good job.
This entire conversation, I've been wondering, why is this guy?
He looked better like this. That's why, dude. We gotta look at his king-sized bed behind him. That's why. You know.
Well, he's the king, man. He's the fucking king.
It's Wesley fucking Snipes, ladies and gentlemen.
You know why he can afford that king-size bed? Because he didn't pay his goddamn taxes. That's why.
that man spread pose would not be allowed in a film today. Just saying.
Oh yeah, gotta They say it's the
you can't sit like that on the tube in London now. You get cut.
And if you do that in Scotland, you might get arrested.
Oh yeah,
that might be considered a hate crime.
So basically, it works in the end of the day. Well, in the beginning of the morning, technically, if you want to be more accurate, you know. So in the morning, Whistler is fine. He's back to normal, of course, and so we get more info about Blade's search for him. So he said that he started in Moscow, then Romania, and ended up in Prague, and he's been gone for years. He doesn't say how many years, but we do learn later on that it's been 2 years. And Whistler is kind of pissed because he still has the shitty leg, which I agree, man. Wouldn't the vampirism cure his leg or something? It's kind of weird.
Well, that was what I was kind of saying is like they could have this is another one of those things that they could have explained away with like they kept me in a stasis so that way I wouldn't like gain all their abilities because they wanted to keep me weak or something. Like it could have been like a line that they could have because clearly he would have healed.
Yeah, he would have. At least he would have healed. You know, that's what they could have given him for sure. So
one thing this movie better because they needed him to be like a part of the crew. That actually something I think is a screw up on their part. They should have had him. There's no reason for him to have a bum leg.
Yeah, they would have been good. Like we would have seen him at least be able to fight properly instead of get beaten around by Reinhardt for some reason. But yeah, one thing that he does do is he gets his wedding ring from behind. I think it's a scale that he gets it from behind. And yeah, so it's just one thing that I want to say now because I'll reference it later again. And Scud and Whistler meet, old generation versus new, and yeah, they just don't get along because I can imagine Scud is kind of just disrespectful, but listen, man, he's smoking a joint, watching Powerpuff Girls. What else can you expect in life? It's just having fun.
It doesn't get much more early 2000s than Scud. He is about like late 90s, early 2000s. He is every walking trope of that generation, essentially.
On an interesting note, he was supposed to be watching Speed Racer, but they couldn't get the rights.
Oh, all right. Well, Powerpuff Girls is good enough. I like it.
Powerpuff Girls is excellent.
Yep. Yeah. Fighting crime, trying to save the world. All right. So they get attacked by vampires, of course, that come through. And I just love the layout that they have on the computer, the fact that he has the temperature change, and it's written on the screen that they're vampires if they're under, I think, 50 Fahrenheit. I don't know. It's that weird imperial system, ladies and gentlemen. That's Dark Hour's speciality.
This all comes down to them having like,
oh shit, I'm the only American on the damn panel.
Yeah.
All this tech stuff and things that they can splash in, it always comes down to just the fact that vampires have like an inherent, like just a base rule set that you can just play with, and little things like this are always so satisfying, like the serum in the first movie and just all the little things that you can play with. They had a lot of, they're never bored when it comes to the concept. It seems like everyone who's involved with this movie was really passionate about vampires in general.
It does. This scene actually does play into one of the unused tropes of vampirism, is that they're not supposed to enter your residence unless they're invited in. Which is something they could have played with, like a line later, like vampires aren't allowed in unless they're invited. I know, but they don't use that exact line.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it's better the fact that they don't say it exactly. He just says, you think they scoped out the place? No, I let them in. It's like, yep, that's cool. I like it. That's good enough for me.
Just one question.
Yep.
Why didn't they knock? Hello, Blade. We've come under a flag of peace. There's something that we need to discuss with you.
Because we needed a fight scene. We needed a mandated fight scene.
Who the hell shows up in peace in like ninja outfits?
Exactly. Shuts off the power. Like you literally rolling up with katanas and shit. You could have just knocked, bro. Throw Pebble at the window.
So silently too, because I love how they pop up. It's all you hear is just the sound of the wind that they make when they're crossing, and the sound of the pipes that they're touching. That's it. You don't really hear body movements or anything like that.
Yeah, that's another vampire thing.
So have you seen the extended version of this scene on the Blu-ray anniversary?
No.
You need to watch that. There's like about 15 deleted scenes on that Blu-ray.
Wow. Okay.
Jesus.
There's
a lot of scenes deleted.
I'm sure you could probably find those on.
Yeah, you can probably find them on YouTube. Actually,
I want to see everything that's happening. I find that so fascinating because I think this scene is very interesting, and I'm not surprised that there's a lot missing from it. And like the CGI moment that we know what I'm talking about is like, why? Everything was flowing. Everything was flowing. You had Blade, it goes to Blade doing some nice choreography against.
Wait, I have the clips. Let me show them. So
I know
the first half. First half of the fight where there's little to no CGI, ladies and gentlemen.
Godlights.
Yeah,
you cut it off before it went. Because
it becomes total CG for the next like 3 minutes.
You see, you guys, this is why I do the slides, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why I cut it now is because I put the section where they have CG with no audio, so that we can just talk over it and say how bad the CGI is. You see,
it turns into a video game. Like it's just one of those moments.
Yeah.
You know what makes it so obvious is because they're in front of lights. If this was not in front of those lights, you wouldn't see it as glaring. If
No.
they would have did that against a darker background, it would.
It's a complete mistake. Like the bright lights, trying to like we know what you're doing, we can see it, and it just the change in the tone of the fight is so drastic. I think it's worse than Neo and Smith. Like Neo is better blended. The Matrix 2 fight where he's fighting all the Smiths.
Well, that's a year later too, so they probably had even better CGI at least.
I think this is worse than that in terms of the blending. Like,
have you ever watched the Affleck Daredevil movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
Unfortunately, yeah.
Jumping up the emergency stairways on the side of buildings, and it's got a very, very similar movement to it. It's very janky and kind of ruins the immersion.
It's just such a mistake that they it's like this thing they have to depend on, and like we all love CGI when it's done right, but this is the thing that's I don't know. It should
they use it a lot as well throughout the movie. Like they try and use the body doubles as well, which it's crazy because you have that scene where the Reaper gets his groin split in two from Donnie Yen's sword, and he's climbing up the wall, and you see that done practically. And then
he climbs up and he actually cuts himself.
Amazing. It looks amazing, and it just seems like almost like an insect, like ripping off a piece of its body to escape. And like, those are the scenes that really hold up.
Princess Fiona, hi Fiona. Still pick Blade 1 over this. It's more of a complete movie, and I agree. Part 2 of this movie does. Yep, I agree. I agree with the fighting stuff. That's for sure. I think that, as we said before, the blood pack absolutely wasted.
What we're gonna, I'm gonna mention it because I'm sure we're gonna go over it many times. Is like when I think of wasted factions in almost any movie or any type of thing, is the blood pack's one of the first things that come to mind. They had this big badass intro, and like almost most of them did nothing, and the rest had crappy deaths or had like one little sequence, and really only Reinhardt had anything to in terms of a story or arc.
Basically
such a weight. Like the blood pack could have been interesting enough to lead it to be a part of the third movie. I
want to see more of Lighthammer. I just love that character.
It's great. And yeah, so at the end of the fight, they end the fight because he says that they're here because they're from the ruling party of the Vampire Nation, and they're here to do a truce. And one thing I do like in this film, in this specific scene, is the fact that she puts her shoulder on I forget his name, on Assad. And at this point, you don't really know that, but she puts her shoulder on him, and there's a lot of things that you can infer from it. Like for me, for example, it was like, why is he bowing down to Blade? Someone who's fighting us, especially considering that we're from the ruling party of the Vampire Nation.
And the ruling party of the Vampire Nation.
Yeah, it's like the respect is like, should he not respect Blade for the fact that he's a great fighter and that he went toe to toe with Nisa and not with Assad? Or you know what I mean? Just putting her hand on him can say so many things, which I found is very interesting.
This comes back to Lance's point. Why the hell didn't they just knock? Like they have so much respect for Blade. Like this whole situation, it's one of those scenes where you just know they needed a fight scene. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's true. And so of course, we got the reveal. Lewis Hamilton over here, Assad
from Red Dwarf.
Yeah, that's Danny.
It is.
Who I know.
I love Danny.
Yeah. And of course, one thing I do like is the fact that Nisa doesn't really remove her eyes at all from Blade this entire time, and she finally reveals her face, and there she is. She is pretty though. I think she's pretty.
Leonor Varela, and yes, there's nudes.
Oh, was it from the Cleopatra movie?
I have no idea.
Now.
That's the new running gag since I've done it. I did it 2 movies in a row, and I was like, I'm just going to keep going with that.
Everyone to your keyboards. So yeah, of course, what they're here for is they need Blade's help, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty much it. And they take Blade to the headquarters, of course, the HQ, Vampire HQ. And one thing I do like is the fact that she says Blade is the boogeyman. And she expected more from him. You just have Norman Reedus saying, "Come on, B, show him, pretty please."
Like things like this make me curious to like anyone who's more familiar with Blade's history. Like, what was the biggest influences for him? Because I feel like there's so many little things about him that work, from the tech, like the mix of traditional sword fighting style while also having like explosive tech, and it's just a very interesting combination of things. If anyone,
because he does have futuristic tech.
Yeah, he's just a very unique skill set, and like
Blade is a character that really evolved over the years. The early version of him that appeared in Tomb of Dracula was nothing like the one that would inevitably go on. Really, this version was mostly influenced by the Spider-Man cartoon, which was when he was really evolving in the comics.
That makes
the
sense.
90s. Yeah.
They go by which version is going to be most popular.
Yeah, like if you like, I'm not even kidding. If you look up the original, like when Blade first came around, you wouldn't even recognize the character. Except
that's usually the case. Yeah, they do evolve over time, and I do find it interesting comparing the ones that evolve and have all these different variations, and then the ones that like they just kind of nailed it, and like they just slow tweaks over the decades.
Superman,
yeah, like Spider-Man is a great example.
Spider-Man might be like he just works. Like there's something crazy about seeing little kids of every generation. Something about Spider-Man is just appealing. I've seen so many kids love that.
And Ryu Planeswalker, have the Blood Pack be badass in this movie, then have Dracula wipe the floor with them in this to establish him in the third movie.
Yes. Oh my god, it's all such a waste. It's such a waste. The Blood Pack should have been fleshed out and then utilized in some way for drama in the third movie. Instead, we got Triple H and Ryan Reynolds.
We got David S. Goyer writing, man. That's why.
You know what? I'll throw out a bone. I like the scene of Blade getting captured by the cops and him getting interrogated. That was awesome. And then it all falls off a mountain.
Yeah. And RRTNZ, hail folks, this film and GDT. Guillermo del Toro, all right, are super overrated. I disagree, but I respect your opinion. His films are nonsense, but no one ever calls it out because they look pretty. I disagree.
Yeah, you gotta qualify your statements, man. You gotta give us references.
I disagree,
but that's just opinion at that point.
But hail to you, RRTNZ, man. Hope you're having a great day, a great morning, great Sunday morning, man. Yeah, thanks for popping up, man.
I love Pan's Labyrinth.
Yep.
I like it too.
Water is also great.
Pacific Rim. Yeah, Pacific Rim. Listen, guys, I'll defend Pacific Rim till the day I die. You'll hear me on my deathbed say Pacific Rim is incredible. So
maybe next year for your birthday we'll do Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
We do like the birthday stream is like there's no rhyme or reason to it. We just whatever we feel like watching that week.
Yeah, it'll be Pacific Rim or Eight-Legged Freaks. I'm telling you this now, man. I love Eight-Legged Freaks.
No problem. Well, I'm already working out the 2025 schedule. Don't worry.
So one thing I do like that I wanted to reference is the fact that Nisa in here, she puts on the ring, which is the family crest, which I do like because in reference to what Whistler did before when he just came back from his grueling 2 years in the labor camp. Oh, what is that?
Oh, jeez.
Wait.
One fell, but that's Pale Man.
Nice.
And a fallen. Can't even remember what this dude's name is, but from the shape.
Yeah.
So a big Del Toro fan. I have a whole Del Toro section over there. So I was like, nah, I disagree.
Yeah, I'm a big Del Toro fan too, man. But
put my crest, my Ravens championship ring.
But yeah, so what she does is she puts on the family crest, which I really do appreciate, especially in parallel to what Whistler did before. Because for the audience, it says that vampires and human after a battle will always connect, try and go back to our families, which is to try and say that they aren't so different in comparison to their common enemy, which is the Reapers, which we're properly going to get introduced to in the next scene. Just something that I really appreciate. So
one of the big qualities of this movie is like finally exploring the fact that we kind of need each other, humans and vampires, and it takes an elder threat for that to be like highlighted. I don't think for all this movie's issues, I don't see a lot of other vampire content like exploring those type of things. It is interesting. Like we do need each other to some degree.
Yeah, and so yeah, so we're finally at the HQ, and does it? Okay. Yeah, one thing I did like is the way that they have the digital scan. It's not just a scan; it scans your blood as well, which is pretty cool, which I really appreciate. And of course, we meet what's his name, Overlord Eli Damaskinos. Yeah, the Overlord, ladies and gentlemen. It's the big bad dad. There you go. And welcome, Daywalker. I think the dude who plays him, Thomas Kretschmann. I've seen him in a couple of movies. I think that he's fantastic in this. He has great screen presence.
The thing that comes to mind for me is I believe it was the second Resident Evil movie he was in, if I recall correctly.
He's been in loads of stuff. He was in Downfall, the film about Hitler. which if you haven't seen, by the way, you've got to see that. And we contacted him about casting him in something because I wrote a part especially for him, and the price his agent came back with because he just moved to LA. We were like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, wasn't he the boat captain in
King Kong?
Yeah, King Kong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he just done King Kong actually. I think
he was. He was also right before this. He was in a bunch of movies, not Hollywood, but U-571 was right before this as well, about a year before this.
Yeah. Well, he is German, so yeah.
He does a lot of German films.
Yeah, and of course, yeah. So we get introduced to him, and what we eventually learn is, we get introduced to the lawyer too. Of course,
he made the whole thing just seem like legit and grounded. Like I like to
that actor is Carol Roden, and I nearly worked with him, but the production dates didn't work out. But
somebody had mentioned him in the chat before. I don't remember who it was. Probably knowing her, it was probably Princess Fiona. Probably
he's got an interesting background. And he speaks like about 5 languages.
Jesus,
yeah, really interesting guy.
I also speak 5 languages, but 4 of them are completely incoherent nonsense.
4 of them involve alcohol.
Uninspired. How many languages do you speak? 3?
I speak English, Spanish, and French. My mom speaks like 7 languages, but a lot of them are a lot of them are dialects, like African dialects. So it's not really
variations of it.
Exactly.
Oh no! Apparently, it was. Here we go. I guess it was RRTNZ said was the one who mentioned.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. My mom speaks English, French, and Arabic. Yeah, Arabic. Because
I think I'm missing the part of my brain that allows you to learn a second language because I've tried a bunch of them and it just never works for me.
Anyone who can speak multiple languages, I always find that amazing to me. It's like one of those talents. It's like a straight up talent to be.
You need to. I think immersion is like really the key. The one I got closest to was Polish because I worked at an Eastern European bakery for all of high school, so I started to like pick up a lot of like Slavic languages. But that was just because of immersion. I was around.
Immersion is 100% the key, but like to be able to do it, and especially if it's not your first language. Like if you anyone who streams and it's not their first language, that's pretty incredible to me.
Oh yeah, I agree. Ryu Planeswalker, the only thing more evil than a vampire lawyer.
Yeah.
Really double bloodsucker.
I was gonna say that at this point, like I feel like that came across in his performance, how intelligent he is. Like I just remember that he only had a few scenes, but he really had a big impact.
Yeah, it's especially the way that like the first thing that he says, Blade is like, "You're human, just barely. I'm a lawyer." It's like, all right, cool.
And I agree. We've gotten rid of that part of our brain to learn more about shooting guns and grilling meat.
Yes,
well, that's one of the problems is that like a lot of it's pretty common in the United States unless you live close to like the border or in a major metropolitan area where Spanish is very popular. You're usually pretty far away from anybody who's going to be using that language. So odds are you're not going to be encountering it much. You go out into like Pennsylvania, there's actually and like Ohio, you get a lot of people who speak German out there because that's where a lot of German people. Years ago settled. The Pennsylvania Amish Pennsylvania Dutch is actually Pennsylvania Deutsch, which is German. So it really is about immersion.
I was gonna say this shot is amazing. Like not just the contrast in skin tone between an Overlord and everyone else, but the fact that him and his daughter are just grilling the shit out of Blade while everyone else is in the mission.
They're all looking at Blade.
Look at her face.
She's got that like hot resting bitch face thing.
She's got one of those. Yeah, she's one of those gorgeous faces where you want to like get past this bitch mode face and see what she's like when she just chills the fuck out.
It's cool too, especially the fact that they're all staring at a computer, which is just interesting. They're all just looking at CCTV footage, basically.
Yeah, those monitors annoy the shit out of me that they have them in portrait mode. It's like, what are you? Why?
That's true.
Oh my god, you're right. What are they doing?
I remember when I was watching it this last time, and I guess maybe when I was younger it didn't bother me, but now like being like. That I'm sitting in front of multiple monitors that are next to each other. I'm like, Why would you? Why just turn it?
I've never noticed that in all the years. I think that's one of the funniest things about streaming like old movies is like, what? Why? I feel like I would have went to my grave without noticing those stupid monitors. Did you not mention that?
It's because this was around the time where we switched this as like as the world from the standard being 4:3 ratio to 1920 by 1080. And
yeah, that's true.
I guess apparently no one knew how to use computer monitors yet like that. So let's just throw this in.
So what we do learn in this scene is the vampirism is considered a virus, and viruses evolved. And basically the next step in their evolution is Jared Nomak. And we learned that they've created, the Reapers are now something. So I'll give you guys the bullet points of what Reapers are. Reapers kill both vampires and humans. They need to feed constantly and have barely any control because they're like crack addicts. Their victims do not die. They transform into Reapers, which means that there is exponential growth for the Reaper threat to humanity and vampire manatee, I guess that's what you could call it. Yeah, I tried, ladies and gentlemen. I tried.
No, it's just highlighting how like it's just completely unsustainable. Like vampires is a threat, but they've actually blended into society much better. We have to kind of almost give them their credit to that.
Oh yeah.
Where the Reaper is like, this is a fucking problem, and we need to
just hold that thought. Oh, I want to do this super chat only before he leaves. Iceman in the chat for 10 not American dollars.
10 real money, folks. Real euros.
This is my channel. That's fake money. I'll still accept it, but gotta go because it's my future wife's birthday party. Have a good one, people. A happy birthday to your future wife.
Yeah, happy birthday man, to your future wife. Yeah, dude. And have a good one yourself, man. All right. So we learned all of that from the scene.
And also one detail that when I was doing my research, apparently, and anybody who has experience with biology, I guess, in the chat could probably. Apparently, the line that Demaskinos gives is factually incorrect. He calls it like a parvo or parvovirus, which is apparently not what the when they explain how it works is not correct. Because that's like a family of viruses or something like that. I was just hoping that maybe somebody in the chat could like put some more details on that for me.
I think that same producer that said no one will care about the Whistler thing just said no one will care which virus it is. Just find a name and put it in the script. Be that same guy that made that decision.
It's a human immunodeficiency virus. Okay, there we go. That sounds good.
I like it how you phrase that question, Dark Hour. Who in the chat has experience with biology?
Well, I don't. We actually have a disproportionately smart chat. We have a lot of like highly educated people in our chat. So.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I graduated high school with economics. That's pretty much it. That's why I'm not in the chat. That's why I'm on the panel, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, some of them have got GSD and woodwork, so you know.
We have a few doctors and master's degrees out there.
That's true. Iceman, Dr. Iceman is gone already, sadly. Yeah. All right. Well, so of course at this point, what they do is they say that they're going to need Blade to lead the Blood Pack. A Blood Pack is basically the team that they've been training for 2 years to take down Blade, and he accepts, but he is still hesitant. And of course, Scud is also hesitant about Whistler and the fact that Whistler basically just was cured of vampirism in a day, which of course understandable. So
I was just gonna say that they have a good quick just the dynamic of like nobody trusts anybody in the situation, like the deal that they're making with these new people, and like the fact that Whistler is a question mark. There's just a lot of like there's a lot of distrust going on, and they really nailed that tone.
Oh yeah, I agree. And all right,
Princess Fiona coming
I'll
through
take this
here.
one.
Go ahead.
Parvoviruses are non-enveloped. Oh shit, man! I shouldn't have taken this one.
Icosahedrals.
Yeah, icosahedral particles 18 to 26 nanometers in diameter. DNA strands are packaged into separate virions in approximately equal proportion. There are 2 capsid proteins.
That's the kind of shit you're not getting on other. You're not getting that elsewhere.
Word. What she said.
I love you.
You're not getting that shit on FNT. Everybody. That's not happening.
All right. All right. So one thing I do like about this scene is the fact that they say just before that they're like crack addicts and the Reapers specifically, and we haven't really seen that before because the only one that we saw was Jared Nomak, and he seemed pretty good. So I do like the fact that the next scene is just them actually just showing how brutal they are when they're hungry. So hey, like Snickers, you're not you when you're hungry, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I have a Snickers right behind me.
They love, just little things like that to remind us what their relationship is with blood, like just how delicious it is to him. Like those little things help. I always love the details.
Never forget the Snickers right there.
Yo, CLS, dude, how you doing, man? Wait, been fighting my new computer I got. It was used and it has parental controls for some reason. I was trying to reset the password for hours, still no luck. Oh, dude, good luck.
Then it's not a new computer; it's a used computer. Get your.
Well, yeah, that's what he's saying. The new computer. He did say it was used, dude. The second line, it was used.
I'm saying he's like, I've been fighting my new computer I got, but it was used.
It's an oxymoron, dude.
Sometimes when you buy, that happens a lot with tablets. When people buy tablets, because a lot of people will put child protections on them so they can hand them to their toddlers
Children,
and stuff.
Yeah.
And
the name,
they forget. A lot of times they forget to factory reset them before reselling.
Oh, dude, good luck, CLS, man. Hope you get that stuff figured out very soon, man. So yeah, where was I? So we've got Nisa that's trying to just come into Blade, and Blade is doing some private stuff, of course, and
she walks right in on him.
Yeah, walks on him, just jacking off probably or something. But yeah. No way. And so what she does is she wants to introduce him to the Blood Pack, ladies and gentlemen. So we have Lighthammer and Verlaine.
She was originally written. She was originally written to be Tracy Lord's twin sister, and I think they wanted to bring back Tracy Lord's for this movie, and she didn't want to do it, so they had to kind of shift it.
Who's that? Karen?
From the first movie, not Karen. No, the
Verlaine.
She died really early in the movie.
Are we talking about Blade 1?
Yeah. So Tracy Lords dies early in the first movie. I don't remember her character name.
Oh, okay. She's the one at the club. The dude, like the one that lures the dude at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I don't remember her name. Yeah.
Oh, she wasn't even a character. Like she had like one scene.
Well, that's the thing is people were upset that she didn't really get much screen time. So originally they wrote this character as her twin sister to bring her back, and I'm assuming that's one of those things that just got lost in the shuffle.
Oh,
now,
okay.
I don't know if you guys remember from the original Blade movie, there was an alternate ending scene which had Morbius looking over at Blade from the rooftops. That's just one of the changes to this movie, because David S. Goyer's original idea was to use Morbius as the primary villain. But Marvel decided that they wanted to use him for something else. I mean, how would you guys feel if it was in fact Morbius in this, rather than the Morbius movie that we got?
So what you're telling me is it could have been Morbin time back in 2002?
I think they would have had more respect for it then. They would have had way more respect if we had a proper practical effects. And I just think they would have been way more invested in making a proper Morbius than the one that we got.
Oh yeah, I think he would have taken the same role that Dracula employs in the Blade Trinity, basically.
Yep. I would have rather seen Morbius and save Dracula. Like the idea of seeing Blade fight Dracula was like, I don't know. To me, Dracula is just leave that separate. Like Morbius could have been cool.
Yeah, Morbius could have been cool. And yeah, as you said, I think that they would have treated him with way more respect at this time. And plus, Jared Leto wouldn't have been involved. So that's all I need. Jama, hey, how you doing, man? Struggling to remember anything about this movie except I liked it. Oh, that's why you need to remember, man.
They weren't in Marvel. One of the biggest problems with Marvel now is like they're embarrassed. Like they're just like they're ashamed of their own. They make fun of their own superheroes and whatnot. It's nonsense. Where this is
it's because of who they employ to write them. The people that they employ to write them don't actually like the character.
They don't give a shit. Not just don't like them, don't respect them, and they're actually embarrassed. They're uncomfortable doing it. Where they're fully committed. They're not like
it was taken seriously. I mean, there is moments of levity, but for the most part, this is a serious movie.
The moments of levity are in character, though. That's the big thing for me. The respect for everything, the characters, the concept.
It doesn't break the tone either.
Yes,
that's also one of the most important parts.
And they're character accurate. The people that would say these things would actually say them. It's not just this mandated Marvel humor bullshit.
Yeah. So the Blood Pack, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got Lighthammer and Verlaine, Priest. Wait. I did save these. Princess Fiona, I saved these. There we go. Priest, who's played by Tony Curran. Tony Curran is fucking amazing. He's done so many things people don't realize. He has the rare quality of appearing normal, but has this smoldering, scary as hell, heavy behind the eyes. Yep. And
I'm not sure if he's more wasted or Donnie Yen, because they are both extremely wasted.
It's him. This guy does nothing. Donnie Yen has a cool kick.
He just dies.
Donnie Yen gets a cool slow motion kick. This guy tries to be cool.
This guy gets his wrist broken and thrown through a window.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest. I'm gonna go right to what's one of my biggest things is you guys are supposed to be the best of the best. Vampires in general should be like capable foes, but you guys are supposed to be the elite of the elite, and like they suck.
Yeah, trained to fight Blade over the course of 2 years.
Wrist broken, like Wing Chun by some bum Reaper. And like I don't know, they really should have.
Yeah, it wasn't even Nomak. It was just some rando.
Each of these guys should have been really difficult to take out, and in my opinion, maybe one or none of them should have died. They should have been fleshed out and used in the third movie.
He also has a really cool
been able to make it.
I think it's the weakest part of the film is the fact that they're set up to be such a big thing, and then nothing's really done with them. Although a lot of their scenes were cut, but you know, because everybody said let's focus on Wesley Snipes.
It's Worf syndrome. They set them up to make the other characters look stronger.
Yeah, but you can do that in a good way. There's a lot of really good ways to do that.
Yeah,
like Thanos is an easy one. Like her introduction to him was him beating the shit out of the Hulk very quick, you know, and you can set these things up, but I just this was a waste to me. We already know Blade is cool. That's why I emphasized that in that first scene. I feel like they went out of their way to remind us he's such a badass. But
these are some interesting sunglasses,
guys, you know.
Yeah,
those are some interesting sunglasses.
Yeah,
they're like frowning. They're sad.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with them?
So we got Priest, Donnie Yen with some nice mascara, eyeshadow, whatever you want. And
I like how you didn't even use the name of the character. You said and Donnie Yen.
He's Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen. Okay, so his name is Snowman. So yeah, so it's Lighthammer and Verlaine, Priest, Snowman, and Chupa and Reinhardt, ladies and gentlemen, or just
Chupa,
Chupa
which
and
is
Ron Perlman.
Yeah, Chupa, which is short. It was just taken off of El Chupacabra, so which is the goat sucker technically.
And Reinhardt was
potential here. Go ahead. Sorry.
Reinhardt was originally scripted to be a literal Nazi who only spoke in German, and if you notice throughout the entire film, he doesn't take his sunglasses off, not even once.
Nope.
You're right. We don't ever see his eyes. Yeah.
I saved this for when that was brought up.
I wonder if that's because he's got Nazi swastikas tattooed onto his pupils or something.
I look at all these characters and think, man, you guys all could have been memorable characters. Like that's one thing that this franchise didn't do. We didn't create other people that we can actually spin off from. Like Whistler, people remember. Like I remember Karen. I like Karen. Even Nomak memorable.
I even remember Scud. You know, character.
Scud's memorable. There's a lot of memorable characters, but it's just they just wasted them. Each one of them could have been fleshed out. I can't get over it.
Tony Curran would make it an awesome Doctor Doom. I can see it. Honestly,
he would. He would.
And
he never stops working. You know, he never stops working. He's never available.
I've seen him in so many different things, but a lot of times he's played small roles in what I see. But
I'm not reading this one out loud, but I'm just going to put it up on the screen. So.
All right, so basically, you know, we get introduced to the Blood Pack, and so there's a bit of tension, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on, what are you looking at her for? You need permission? Or maybe you need a little bit of incentive. What's the matter? You missed that? Come on. What, you need a manual? Fucking do it! Come on! Now you got an explosive device stuck to the back of your head. I'll have the detonator with me. Any questions?
Maybe that should have been the first indicator that they're not as elite as they should be.
Exactly.
But I think that's actually one of his best acted scenes. I really like his
His delivery.
His delivery and I believe that would get someone to lose their temper. Like he just did it perfectly. Just hit all the buttons he needed to hit.
Yeah, they'll look over here, slap you in the face.
He was 10 levels ahead in every single way. And I think that works to that degree. So I wouldn't like brush them off there. That was just showing again, reestablishing Blade's dominance. But then after that, it's like, come on. They should have all had their moments and like found a way to. This is from here where they should have worked to earn Blade's respect rather than just like. Yeah, this is a waste. I'm gonna be bitching about these things, guys, the whole movie. Let me just say that now.
I just love Wesley Snipes' delivery. It's like, what you need, a permission? It's
yeah,
like...
that's perfect. What are you looking at that for? that's just something I would totally fucking say that.
Just it's like now you got a bomb strapped to the back of your head. It's like, all right, cool, dog.
I do like the interspersing of I think it's Romanian they're speaking. I'm not really I
don't even know what it is.
All the foreign languages in the background, everybody talking.
Yeah, like everybody talking in different languages.
I know what you mean.
I want to say it's some sort of like bastardized version of Romanian, but I could be wrong.
Just say it's a vampire.
I also liked in that clip of how up until now Nissa has been looking at Blade, of course, with full concentration. There's no breaking of sort of her eye contact with him, but in this scene she's sort of like, oh, here we go. Like, let's get this over and done with. Have your little fight, and then we can move on with business.
Yeah, it's true. Because she does crack a smile when she sees the Blade is taunting Reinhardt, which is pretty cool.
Because it's one of those things where like she probably can't stand this guy. No one stands up to Reinhardt, and being able to see the difference in dynamic, like someone who can actually tell Reinhardt to shut the fuck up, is probably so satisfying for her. And it's just an instant. We've all seen those moments,
Darkar, you wanted to say something?
Oh, I'm looking up what the language they use. So apparently it was a mixture of Russian and Czech.
Czech. It's Czech because it's filmed in Prague, which is the capital of the Czech Republic. Do you want to see where? Do you want to see where it was filmed? This might be a good segue. Point.
Yeah, sure.
You just want to pull it up and then we'll bring that up.
While you're pulling that up, I'll play the clip again because I love Wesley Snipes' delivery.
Come on, what are you looking at her for? You need permission? Or maybe you need a little bit of incentive. What's the matter? You missed that? Come on. What, you need a manual? Fucking do it! Come on!
Now you got an explosive device stuck to the back of your hand.
I'll have the detonator with me. Any questions?
I just love it, dude.
So they shot at 2 studios in Prague. You've got Banadek and then Prague Studios. So this one here, if I zoom out, you can see it's on the south of the city. They have a lot of freestanding sets. Obviously, the stuff that they built for Blade 2 won't be there. But if you look at this, for example, this doubles for about 5 different film sets. In the back lots, you can see all the different castle entrances that they have and stuff of that nature. And then see all these streets, the way that they're built, so you can shoot multiple angles in different directions to get the most out of the set. And then you have a whole load of other studio complexes over here. And of course, there's always a big wood nearby every film studio. And then the other Prague studio is to the north of the city. This is the newer one. And they shot some I guess some interiors there, but those are the two places where it was filmed. Cost a lot less that way by filming in Prague.
I can imagine, actually.
Big tax incentives for that. There you go.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they shoot in the UK. Yeah, go ahead and see.
You see that neon sign at the top there?
Yep.
That says Radu. Now, this is an Easter egg in the movie. This is actually the name of Dracula's brother.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't even know Dracula had a brother.
I don't know if anybody picked that up, but it's a nice little Easter egg to the lore there.
Oh, that's pretty
I didn't even know he had a brother, but that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about too. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like it. So what they're doing right now is they're going to the House of Pain, ladies and gentlemen, but they're not going to jump around. But nope, nobody. All right, cool. Thank you, Dark Apr.
That's just got that. Oh dear,
I understood that reference.
Jump around.
Thank you.
I'm the only one who
Up and get down.
I'm the only one who can visually see my disappointment in that.
Yep.
Everyone else did the same exact thing I did. Just
So what I do like is the fact that it's a mutually, I guess, beneficial and detrimental relationship, because the vampires are giving away their secrets, but Blade has to give away some of his secrets as well. And it's one thing that I do appreciate, because the film does a lot to emphasize on the changes that were made, to the status quo in the 2 years since we last saw Blade, in terms of in movie years, of course. So the fact that she's just saying that now we have a new way to enter clubs and stuff, and he doesn't even know on first glance, which I find very interesting, because in the first movie, first thing he does is he enters the club, and we all know that it was through a secret entrance, given it was kind of less of a secret entrance, but still Blade was on top of this shit.
They've basically showed how much they've had to improve because of him. Like, he's the major threat, and they've like the fact that they've been training 2 years for him. All those things they really should have played with more. Like, it's just all the more reason why I'm disappointed with how much they're wasted, because they were set up so well. The idea of like an elite group of vampires being trained because Blade is just that much of a badass, that much of a threat.
So I just looked it up. Radu was the actual brother of Vlad the Impaler. It was Radu the Third, aka Radu the Handsome of Wallachia, and his brother is Vlad the Impaler, who Dracula was based on. So yeah, it's quite literally the brother of the inspiration. That's actually
the brother of Dracula, Vlad the Impaler. How cool do you have?
It's spelled differently though than up on that.
Yeah, it's got a U in it.
Yeah, that's why it took me a couple minutes to actually look it up.
Leonor Varela 100%. Yeah, she's a Latina, Chilean actress.
She's Chilean.
Oh yeah. Oh, RRTNZ for $2 New Zealand. Snipes is just an athletic seagull in these films. There's a lot of fun, weird knife work that like doesn't really serve a purpose, which is interesting as well.
You can tell in this one that this was definitely his favorite. He's way more into this one. Everybody knows he hated Trinity.
Yep.
But like, I guess the first one he enjoyed, but this one he's definitely way more into. And he even said it it's his favorite one.
Thank you for the super chat, RRTNZ. Cypress Hill joke. Word to your moms, I came to drop bombs. I got more rhymes than the Bible's got psalms. I'll serve her ass like John McEnroe. Yeah. Yeah, listen, when the shit goes down, you better be ready, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
I'll put them on into you.
So back to Blade, and yeah, so of course what they do is it's time to suit up, and of course so they've got the UV lights. They're introducing them to the steak launcher. That's what I like to call it. The silver.
I want a real steak launcher that launches actual meat.
Then of course you've got the vampire popper 2.0, basically just injecting the stuff that what's his name Deacon Frost was injected with at the end of the last movie that made him pop. And so it's got like a light delivery package now. And
I think this is one of the best aspects of the movie. Again, like just seeing the upgraded tech and all the adaptation they've needed because of Blade and like through the things they did in Blade 1. There's not a lot of movies play with this stuff anymore. Like vampires are so much fun, but nobody like plays with the genre anymore.
Cooked. I'm not gonna eat raw steak.
You're not a real man, Dark Hour.
Right now, I have a tooth that I can't even chew on right now. I'm going to get it
fixed. And so there's a bit of banter between Wesley Snipes and Reinhardt, of course, which is pretty cool. So after this we get one of the I guess you could say one of the coolest walkouts in cinema history, ladies and gentlemen.
It's pretty much inspired all of the superhero team up walkouts going forward.
It's got one of the first superhero landings, one of the first like epic walkouts, but let's be real, Blade is carrying them.
Just play that again.
Yeah.
Wrong one.
Wrong one. Yep. This one.
You'll note from the heat vision that Blade is the only one who's warm-blooded.
Yeah.
It's little touches like that really make this film.
Oh yeah, I never even really thought about that.
Really?
Well,
that's one of the key points of that scene. Like,
that's literally why they showed it, dude.
Yeah, that's the whole. How could you not?
I never put two and two together on it.
How did you notice the sideways computers, but you didn't notice the info, like the scan?
Because I pay attention to really pointless shit.
Oh, dude, yeah, I just like the walkout.
It's just crazy how this aged in your head because it's an amazing scene and even the details of that. But man, Blade is carrying them because you know it's about like you guys aren't as cool as you're looking trying to be here. We all
exactly, yeah. Especially that we'll see in the subsequent scenes how shitty they are in a real life situation. So and yeah, one thing I do like is the fact that Misa basically warns Blade that he'll see some nasty shit, which to the audience is very interesting because in the first Blade movie, we basically thought that Blade knew everything about the vampires because that's how he was. And now, just as I said before, it's really emphasizing the change that they've had in 2 years. And maybe, of course, the difference in vampires, because they do say that the club is full of basically half-bloods, which is why they're doing all these weird, disgusting things.
And, yeah, that's the only line that I think Priest has where he's like, they're not even purebloods.
Not even fucking purebloods. Like saying half of them aren't. And I think that's one of the funnest things you can do is emphasizing the differences between purebloods and like half-bloods. And like just that line is fun to play with. And all this adaptation being because of Blade makes it an interesting dynamic. And I just like the fact that she went from grilling him to now he's slowly starting to earn her, not fully earn her respect, but at least intrigue her enough to like give him information.
Yeah,
she sees the value in the plan.
Yeah, but like you said, like the purebloods really like gatekeep. They're like, no, we're more important.
That's fun. I want to see that. Like I want to see that in fantasy with dark elves versus wood elves. I want to see that with vampire. Like, can we play with these concepts instead of fucking around? Like,
bigots.
Z, I want to see vampire bigots. It's fun. I want to see a vampire literally drunk roasting about these half-blood vampires, just talking shit. It could be fun. That'd be a great scene.
Z was about to say
something. That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, bigoted vampires.
You're hiding humans under the floorboards.
Come on, you know you want to watch that scene. I'm down. Can we play with the dark side of humanity with vampires? That's all I ask.
Yeah, and so of course Blade just pops up next to the dude that was in the intro. I love the fact that when he goes away, Blade just cracks a little smile. He knows, which is just, of course, relevant.
Princess Fiona, I don't know if you recall, but we did the exact same thing for the first movie.
Oh yeah, we criticized the shit out of Blade 1.
Like, go back and rewatch that. We criticized the whole time.
I also think that most of us said that we think Blade 1's a better movie, so I'm confused.
Objectively, I think but more entertaining is Blade 2.
Everybody loves Blade 2, but most people would pick Blade 1 as the better movie overall. Like, which is going to work just as a film? Like, that's just my pick. Just most people. But,
one of the things that this film suffers from is a lot of the scenes are knitted together with, and then this happened, and then they discover this, and then they do this. It's very linear.
Yeah.
So it's very little. It's not very intuitive as a script going forward, but the action scenes more than make up for that.
Yep.
If you consider just visually speaking, I mean, the first movie was more dynamic in terms of you'd have the city shots, there'd be lots of blues, different colors, whereas this one sort of has this sort of constant orange tint over it, which really makes it feel like it's in sequence and not sort of breaking from the norm.
I really like the shots of Blade in the muscle car and like him driving through the city and like going back to the base and whatnot. That dynamic is probably one of my favorite parts of it. And you kind of lose that in this one. You're right. The setting isn't as interesting. It's basically like the club setting back at Blade's base. The sewers is a cool setting. I really like that. But like visually,
it's dry. It's dry in comparison.
It's missing something. You're right.
And there's another Easter egg in this scene because
okay, I'll let you take it.
He's wearing the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense T-shirt, which is from Hellboy.
Yep. Which is unintentionally, the fact that Hellboy would be directed by Guillermo del Toro and be played by who played him?
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman, exactly. It's like an unintentional connection.
And I think quite a few of the cast transferred from this the Blade series over to the Hellboy series as well.
They did actually. Yeah, as you said before, what was his name? The dude that played the lawyer, he was in, he was in
Carl Roden and Luke Goss as well, who was also a villain in Hellboy. Was it Hellboy 2: Golden Army?
Yes, the bad one.
Yeah,
no, I still like it. What?
I still like it.
Yeah,
I mean, it just wasn't as good as the first one.
It looks nice.
It does look nice.
RTNZ, you get a point there. Guillermo del Toro's movie looks nice. They're pretty. So what we do is they're entering the club, of course, the House of Pain, and surveillance is here. Scott is outside smoking his joint, watching Powerpuff Girls again in the van, and this is the scene where you have Reinhardt. This like it's gonna be so easy, just pointing the laser at Blade.
This is Blade's in his prime. This is peak Blade right here. Just the fact that he's still 10 steps ahead of them, even though like he's across the room, he's still like, I love it. This is what I mean. Like, this doesn't make them shit. Those scenes come later. This is again just reestablishing how ahead Blade is. And I just love it. I think they nail it.
Yeah, and of course under the club, Nomak is there with all of the Reapers, and then we do get this this like really long. I think this scene when I was doing the edit, it was about 4 minutes long actually of them just being stalked. It reminded me a lot of the Spencer Mansion from the first Resident Evil, especially when they show Blade and Nisa. You see this part. I thought it was great. Just
I'll talk about Resident Evil. Let's stop talking about it. Let's talk about Resident Evil for a while.
Were those like Resident Evil inspired? You'd say those little shots?
I wouldn't be shocked if that was.
That's the vibe I'm getting from it. Yeah, you're much more knowledgeable about it, but I would agree. Yeah,
it definitely feels like it, but like the creepy mansion was already kind of a trope before Resident Evil did it anyway. So like, is it a reference to Resident Evil or is it just a reference to like, it's like
maybe
references
like
are get tricky like that.
Yeah, because I don't know, man. It really reminded me of the Spencer Mansion. I mean, like Resident Evil. I know Dark Hour was a huge fan. I played every single Resident Evil game except for 7 and 8 last week.
You played all the remakes. Don't even start.
No. Well, I mean, the original one, you have to play the remake at this point, or else you can't get it on PC. Yeah, you see, I didn't make a point.
That's why you either buy a capture card like I did recently, or you just get the PS5 remake versions.
I don't have a PS5, dude.
Guys, you're gonna love this. Danny John Jules has just left me a message and a story on my phone. Do you want to hear it?
Oh no, go for it.
Yes.
Oh, hang on. I've got to turn my volume up.
Oh, he actually like said it in there?
Yeah.
Oh, nice, awesome.
Oh, I swear sometimes people think I make this shit up. Right.
No, I thought he would have left you like I thought he like typed it out.
No, I said no, never mind. Anyway.
Send him a link for the stream.
Yeah, just link him to it. We'll just get him on.
You carry on for a second. I'm having trouble with my phone.
Oh, all right, no worries. All right.
Well, after all that.
Yeah, so I do like it. The fact that there's not really much score during that entire sequence until the Reapers appear, and most of it, the sound is just the howling of the wind outside, the rain, and the faint echo of the club music whenever they're following, like, Blade and Nisa. I think it's great. So that when there's the reveal that comes through, it's just really, really, really good and scary too. Because I mean, I would imagine it's very scary for Norman Reedus' character at this point. Yeah, because all he has is guns, and he's outside in his van. That's pretty like almost zero protection.
They do a good job of highlighting like the threat that he feels compared to like Blade is completely fearless. His heart's not even beating heavy. The rest of them I'm still a little bit stressed, but this guy is this is one of the worst, most stressful nights of his life. I'm gonna do all this, and I think he does a good job. Norman Reedus.
And it plays into the fact that I mean, obviously, it's later in the movie we reveal what he actually is. But he's never really had to fear anything because he was always in control of the Norman Reedus was always in somewhat control of the situation because of his knowledge of what is going on.
Yeah,
this is one of the few times where it's like this is a variable thrown at him.
Yeah, it's an unknown element. Like everybody has an understanding of how vampires works, and like he's especially hooked up with Blade and all the tech that they have. They're pretty confident. It's an even battle at that point. But this is a whole new ball game. That's what.
But he was never gonna die. I mean, I'm getting way ahead of us, but he never had to fear dying because he was a plant.
Shit, I mean, now he would probably have to fear dying because
that's what I'm saying. This is probably the first time he fears dying in a long time.
That's one reason the scene works so well.
Yeah, it is.
All right, I'll relay it. I'll relay it to the guys in just a second. Give me a minute.
No problem.
You don't suspect that he's a double agent because he's fearing for his life. The Reavers killing vampires and humans indiscriminately. So he doesn't give away who he is. At this
hold
moment.
on, Lance. You're not muted.
Yeah, you got to mute.
Telling dirty jokes. I've got all kinds of shit.
Hey, we're gonna mute Lance for a minute and then
just for a sec. Yeah. I think it's great. And like this is Norman Reedus' audition for The Walking Dead. And yeah, all hell just starts to break loose, of course, because they finally decide to reveal themselves, the Reapers, of course. And Raw Perlman's out here with a shotgun. That would be my weapon of choice, to be honest. In any weird vampire zombie scenario, 100% picking a shotgun. I'm not even
stopping power.
Actually, here, Lord Toxic has a great point. So, like, yes, he's adaptable. They were actually, you have to remember, they were trained for a much different situation. They were trained to take on Blade, which is completely different than what they're doing.
The thing is, my issue with the Blood Pack is not just the fact that they were ineffective against Reapers, it's the lack of character. They could have all been shit, but I think the fact that we could have had a whole character dynamic, we could have had relationships back and forth. Like they all should have had a different vibe to them. Some of them should have been fans of Blade, some of them should have fucking hated them, some of them should have been jealous. We could have got so much more character out of it, regardless of how they were handled. So like it's the Blood Pack is complicated, and they were wasted in like almost every way. That's my issue with them.
Well,
it's after having such a great setup.
Well, we had to mute Lance because he was in the process of like putting together the story and stuff. I mean, I can unmute him and see if we're good now.
Check on him. He might be talking.
But you know, as I said, you know, I only tell the ones that I need to tell, or that was funny. I mean,
Sure.
Man, that's funny.
But the main gripe that the panel have when they're talking about the film tonight is how wasted the Blood Pack were, as in you guys
timed that perfectly.
Any scenes and you're all killed off too quickly.
You know,
that's their main gripe.
I wasn't killed off that quickly.
No, but some of them were, because I think
Lance, just send him a link to the stream. Get him on.
In that film, do you know how many characters there are in that film? There's so many characters.
And I know there was a lot that was. I know there was a lot that was cut.
There's loads and loads of characters. You know, I mean, a lot more than Blade 1.
Lance, can you hear us?
Lance,
yeah.
What are you?
In the Blood Pack, you know, flipping out. There was what, 6 Blood Pack, right?
Yeah.
You know, even if you gave them a line each in every scene, your scene's over.
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of thing. But you know, I'm not complaining.
No.
My audition was for 1 line.
I'll let them know.
The funniest audition story in the history of the world. That's what I'm doing my autobiography as we speak. Well, yeah, Blade 2 won't get to the first installment, unfortunately, because it only goes up to 1987.
Oh, you're doing more than one?
Yeah, it's a trip. I can't fit it all in one book, mate.
If you want a hand with that, mate, let me know if you want to. Let me know if you want a hand with it.
Lance, you're not muted.
In a month's time, actually knocking it out, mate.
Oh, Lance.
I mean, I've already plotted it, you know.
Okay,
we don't want to eavesdrop on a private conversation, ladies and gentlemen.
I timed that pretty well. He like the spot where we were just talking about was actually what he was talking about. I don't want to. We'll cut out that little bit on the re-up.
Lance said that he wants to. He'll get the story, then he'll relate it to us. I don't think he can hear us, Lance himself.
Oh, but, I could hear that. That was so amazing to have Danny John Jules on the stream.
Yeah. I mean,
well, Lance can't hear us. I think he doesn't have his headphones on. That's why.
Wow! Thank you so much, Lance. That was absolutely excellent.
All right,
look,
and the fork scraping.
I'm not comfortable with them not being aware that we could hear them. The one part was relevant to what we were talking about, so I'm fine with that. But like now they're talking about like his side work and stuff. That's not
man. We don't know NDAs.
That was still pretty good though, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was fantastic. He made me laugh. So back to Blade 2. Of course, they finally get revealed, and all
right. Okay, thanks a lot, Danny. We'll speak soon.
All right, bro.
Bye.
Lance, you know that we had to manually mute you. We caught like chunks of that.
Sorry about that, guys. Danny just called me.
Yes,
I deliberately unmuted myself so you could hear him. He knew you could hear him. He said, "Let him hear him on the phone."
You should invite him on.
Just send him a link. Tell him to come on.
He's going to come on. He's going to come on. I've told you I've invited him on my channel before. I've been trying to schedule him for ages.
So when I unmuted you, when we unmuted you, we caught the part of the conversation that we wanted to. Then you started talking about his book and stuff, so we remuted it. That was we felt like Yeah.
That was kind of private. We didn't want to,
But yeah, once I unmuted you, like you were like starting the conversation with him, and I was like, okay, we'll mute. We'll come back in like a minute or two. And then we popped right in when you were talking about what we were talking about, so it was perfect.
He said he originally auditioned for a single line role, just one line.
Yeah, we caught that part.
Yeah, but his story was he took a camera with him and shot all this behind the scenes footage of the making of the movie. He's got 12 hours of footage.
Jesus.
From the whole shoot. Because he was there, it wasn't shot in order, so he was there for pretty much the whole thing. And he just told me a really funny story about Wesley Snipes, who'd just done this shot, and at the end of the take, he turned into the camera and said something along the lines of he said to Wesley that the face you're using for that shot looks so cool, and Wesley said back to him, last night someone was using this face as a chair.
Oh man, I wish I would have kept it going.
Yeah, so but he's a really, really cool guy. And his autobiography is going to be in 2 parts because he said he can only get up to the end of Red Dwarf in the first book, and that's
but it is probably better than the film itself. Lance, this one's for you from RRTNZ. Give this super chat to Lance for getting Danny on. Lance, you're a legend.
Well, I didn't get him on, but yeah, no, he'd come and talk about it at some point. But he's so hard to pin down because he's always doing something. I've been trying to get him on the channel for ages, so
that's great.
But he will come on at some point. So
technically, he's been on my channel now. So
he has, man. Yeah,
it was just weird because I wasn't sure. So I muted it because I wasn't sure if you were aware that we could hear you. Because so that was one of the. I was like, I don't know.
No, I only unmuted myself for a few seconds, but I think then you accidentally unmuted me, and I didn't notice.
That's what happens when you don't communicate what's going on,
mate. I didn't have a chance because he just called me.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's fine, man. Thank you for that, man.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool. Like I'm telling you, like we got the snippet of exactly what we were talking about. We couldn't have timed that better.
All right.
I was trying to play. He actually left me the story on the phone. I was trying to play it back, but for some reason I just can't get it out loud.
To play. Yeah, I see what you mean.
No, I can play it, but it won't.
No. I see what you mean. It plays like at your ear level.
Can't put it on speaker.
All right.
Anyway,
well,
carry on,
ladies and gentlemen. To dive back in, I'll play a clip of all hell breaking loose and everyone fighting. Oh, that was the wrong clip.
One.
Right clip. Now, that was some great practical effects with the dude just climbing up the wall.
Yeah. One thing, so like we're about to find out in the not too distant future because they'll do the autopsy relatively soon. But you find out that one of the reasons why they're so hard to kill is because the bone around the heart, which I would think that the bullets would still go through that bone.
I don't think so. Maybe it's because it's just too hard.
I mean, bullets go through bone pretty regularly.
We can't treat it like human bone. It's just that's one of the fantasy elements that we're gonna have to just work with, and like it's one of those things. The fact that they went through the detail of at least explaining that is something I appreciate.
The fact that they can't, that none of them accidentally hit that section on the side though is a little strange because there's the exposed side section that.
It'd be interesting to track how much they actually avoid that, like how much they stick to the rules of what they established there. But the fact that how many shows and movies aren't gonna like actually give a fuck in terms of explaining the anatomy.
Yeah.
Why is something difficult to be killed? Like I will take the Reapers over any stormtrooper 1,000 times.
I think it's because Guillermo del Toro treats it as a monster movie, and in most monster movies, you have to have the dissection scene. You know, it's like customary at this point. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have a nice close look at the Reaper's mouth. Look at that.
Look at it.
It's
fantastic.
disgusting.
The full bite sequence.
It's one of the. Go ahead.
Yeah, go on. I was just about to say, I love the little tentacles that come out from the tongue area. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
I think I went on a date with one of those ones.
That is that's the fucking shot. It's definitely one of those ones where like I remember how I felt when I first saw it. Like like oh my oof. I'd never seen anything like it when I saw it.
Yeah, I took this clip because this is the one where there's like fully practical. Yeah, there it is.
This one wasn't CG like enhanced at all.
This is one of my most hated scenes in the movie. You take the most jacked member of the team and you get killed by this hobbit. Like I don't know why. I don't know why that choice was made. Like what the hell?
I still don't understand. Can you play that one more time?
Nobody knows
the tongue or this one.
His back.
I don't understand the back.
No idea.
Please explain it to me.
20 years I've been asking what the fuck happened to this guy's shoulder blades. Someone, please.
Cool practical ooze, I guess.
So like my closest thought process, and I'll throw this one out to you guys, is that it was Lighthammer had pushed so hard that he actually pushed the ribs out the back, and then it just kind of flexed.
But they're pulsating though. It looks like it looks like it's something he's actively doing.
Yeah, because he's like sucking out the dude's blood. That's what it looks like. But yeah, the practical effects are fucking fantastic on this, man.
Yeah, he's not pushing hard enough for that. It's definitely something the Hobbit's doing himself. Like that's why I'm wondering about it. Just nasty, violated.
Yeah, it could be some.
Look at it. It's swelling up. It's filling up. You know what it is? I think they're filling up with blood. The right one actually looks like a sack.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now that I've watched it multiple times in a row like that, you might be correct.
Just a second.
Yeah, and so yeah, I just wanted to play this one again for Z. There it is, the tongue.
Yeah, I definitely went on a date with one of those.
So yeah, what we get is the fact that UV light is the only thing that's able to kill them, and of course Reinhardt uses it on his dude, and that's where we get Blade. So. Now it's Blade versus Jared Nomak, round 1, ladies and gentlemen. So let me play the clip. Make sure that it's the good clip, not the bad one. All right, let's do it.
We have the same enemy. We want the same thing.
Blade's reaction is perfect, dude. It's like,
doesn't he like mouth like what the
fuck? that face he makes is just fucking perfect. Like what the hell is that?
Motherfucker, are you out of your goddamn mind?
Yeah, it's finally showing he's actually shocked by this situation as well.
I do love that it follows the correct pathway that blood would take this toxin into his brain, and then it kind of like dissipates it there. Which is pretty cool.
Sprays it out of his like nose and mouth too. Just
because what he's doing is he's punching him in like the chest, lungs area. So that is going to effectively go right to the first place it goes is up to your brain for the most part, goes to your heart, and then then so the toxin would be.
See you later, man.
See you later, Mel.
Yeah, so that's how you get an STD, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, this is it, man. I just love the effects, man. I could compliment this for a while. Do you guys know which studio did the practical effects for the Reapers?
I could look it up.
Yeah,
it's a massive makeup team.
Stan Winford? No,
Winston. You mean Stan Winston?
Stan Winston, yeah, Stan Winston.
It's not Stan Winston's lot. I don't think.
You sure?
I don't think so.
Like a lot of people know Weta because of the Lord of the Rings and but when it comes to other studios, I don't know why they never get popular from just the work that they do. Like I want to know who put the work into the Reapers because I haven't seen anything like it in decades.
Let's see if there's anything on the wiki or anything.
The only thing I had found was Stan Winston, something about those lines, but I don't know if they had recreated a version or if they had done the original. So yeah, Dark Hour looked that stuff up, and of course we get the
I'm on it.
And of course, we get the second part of the fight where it's just some cool wire work, nonsensical but cool wire work. And yeah, one thing I do appreciate is the fact that in this fight, Blade is totally outmatched, really outmatched, all the way till the end where he gets basically saved because of the
apparently
sunlight.
The guy who designed its name is Wayne Barlow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know much about him. I'll look him up now.
Now, apparently, there's another Easter egg somewhere in this scene that during the fight with Nomak in the church part of the House of Pain, one of the stained glass windows is actually the Eye of Agamotto from Doctor Strange.
Oh, I did not spot that at all.
That is the niche.
That's
well
awesome.
spotted, Z3PO.
Guillermo del Toro was actually is actually a fan of Doctor Strange himself and actually wanted to develop the movie.
How disappointed he must have been with multiverse.
It was because he
Holy
wanted to develop it with Neil Gaiman.
Ooh,
but unfortunately the project was rejected at the time.
Yeah, a lot of early superhero stuff was rejected, even after the success of something like Spider-Man and the X-Men as well, and Blade, which I find very interesting.
I mean, that's one of the things that I picked up from Spider-Man 2 is at the start of the Blade movie, they do a recap of the previous film in shorts. Whereas at the start of Spider-Man 2, they do exactly the same thing. And I think that's a great way to convey what's happened in the previous movie and catch everyone up to speed without having to go and watch it.
Yeah, they.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to add to that, just different types of exposition to get people filled in. So one of my favorite ones of all time would be T2 when the psychiatrist guy is explaining Sarah Connor's whole history. He basically summarizes T1 in like the most natural way. It's like perfect.
You were saying Golden Age?
In that fight scene, I do like the visual contradictions of you have Blade, who is very much clean and ordered, and then you have Nomad, and they're sort of wearing similar costumes in the sense that he's wearing this sort of long, clean black coat, and then the other one sort of looks very diseased, brown, and then, you know, Blade has this nice hair is so ordered, and then he doesn't. There's a nice sort of contradiction there between the two, and then it's set in one of the rare scenes where we actually have the blue light, and it's sort of giving us the impression that it's sterile whilst having all this messy environment to accompany it. So yeah, there's a lot of nice little juxtapositions there in the visuals.
I do think this is an underrated fight. Like I really like seeing, like I wanted more of Blade versus Nomak in terms of like them exploring each other's weaknesses and this. I think that's one of the things this movie could have really used more. I think Nomak is just fantastic. I don't think this movie does him justice now that I'm thinking about how much I like him.
Yeah.
Everything about him is interesting, and that's a pretty cool point you made.
Luke Goss actually trained for 10 weeks for these fites.
10 weeks?
Yeah, for 10 weeks of boxing and various other striking arts specifically for it, and his body fat percentage was actually down to 5%.
Yeah, it's did 10 weeks of boxing, karate, and combat training to get down to shape for this movie. That's dedication.
I remember seeing all the martial arts that Keanu Reeves did for The Matrix. I instantly liked him as an actor because, like Dark Hour, you know that too. Like when you see that they actually put in the work, it's like instant. You instantly get the fucking thumbs up. Like you did the ice baths, you did all the training. All right, you're the man.
From most, I can never pronounce this. Sizzlack. I can never pronounce it.
Sizzlack.
I never really watched Simpsons. I'm sorry.
Dude, you corrected me the first time I fucked up the name.
No, that wasn't me. That was Enzo. That was Stupendo.
You sure?
Yeah. Because I don't know how to pronounce it, so how would I correct you? But anyway, for 1999, that's he's is that before or after the tax? 1999.
It's a throwback, man. It's a throwback.
No, but the Reapers as a visual concept are used again in Del Toro produced series The Strain. Yes.
Yeah. We were talking about that in the beginning of the stream. Thank you for your super chat, Mel. Yeah,
he actually came up with the concept before this movie. So Del Toro had already come up with the concept for the Reavers and how they operate and how they're biological systems worked and just adapted it to work with this movie as opposed to writing his own.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, Guillermo del Toro has always been a very creative person, especially when it comes to weird creatures. So I can imagine this was just in his back pocket, and he was like, "Oh, Blade 2, fuck it, yeah, I can do this."
It was like vampires and like rave music. Sure, that sounds great.
Yeah, and so yeah, so at this point right now, Priest, which is Tony Curran's character. Sorry, Fiona. It's his time to leave the movie, and yeah. So they try and do everything to kill him, but nothing works except for sunlight. They even slice his head in half, which you can see his nice gelatinous brain over there, and yeah. Even after cutting him in half with his half of his body burnt to a crisp, his eyes are still twitching, which really good effects work again. I just really like it.
I just love it when he blinks. It's just so funny.
And I think it's Chupa is looking at him like, you're still fucking alive, dude. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, Chupa's really confused.
I mean, as a vampire, can he regenerate from that? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And Mo following it up with $1.99. Sorry, you missed the beginning. That's okay. We will repost it, and you can catch the beginning.
And it seems like this is really important to remind us of really what vampires are. Like this is not normal type of creature we're dealing with here, and again, that just emphasizes the threat of the Reapers. If it takes this much to kill him, like how difficult the Reaper is.
There's also an inconsistency of the how fast the virus takes over.
Yes.
So that's kind of that's one thing that I guess you could sort of write off that he was essentially dying, so it might have taken over quicker, whereas Lighthammer was not.
Lighthammer takes him literally 24 hours because now
he's also a lot larger than Priest, so it might take longer to course through his body.
Yeah, the fact that he's you know what, headcanon alone, the fact that he's larger, I could see it taking longer to go through, like you said. But the fact that he got bitten rather than him, like this guy had like a whole wound that was being licked on. Like, I feel like
he also got bitten, but it was probably I think it might have been for. I just like to think of it as he's blade derangement syndrome. What's this here? One.
What does this say? Okay, you've been going off in the chat about this. We literally at the beginning said that we've acknowledged the issues of this movie, and this is one of the movies you reference in terms of like one of the movies that people agree the cool factor is what people like about it. It's a fun movie. Nobody's saying it's well written or fantastic. I'm not sure where you got that from, and most of us also agree that Blade 1's a better movie.
Objectively a better movie.
I think that we need to do Blade. I think we need to do Blade Trinity, so that way we can really.
No.
Yeah, Blade is a fun movie. And for anything, we're highlighting a lot of the mistakes as well. We're going both. It's I think we're being really fair. I'm not sure where Blade derangement syndrome's coming from.
I think what's it called? I think this one, for me, it's kind of weird. I would have given him, let's say, a couple of hours if they say that, oh, okay, we're about to do the raid now, and then he starts to transform. But for me, 24 hours is a bit of a stretch for Lighthammer to be transformed. That for me is like really, really a bit of a stretch in comparison to this dude. This dude, it took him 20 minutes. They say specifically 20 minutes. So yeah, and of course. Nick Nolte is over here, and he finds the. Thank you, Lance. No Trinity. Yeah. Nick Nolte, man, he looks exactly like him from when he played Hulk in 2003, an Angolese version. And so they find this dude who's basically biting his arm off like a coyote, and they take him in for the autopsy, ladies and gentlemen. But before that, we switch back to. What's this dude's name? Damascus? No, wait. Damaskinos.
The
mosquitoes.
Lord Damaskinos.
Yeah, Lord Damaskinos. And so Lord Damaskinos, we're back there, and of course he's basically using Blade for unknown reasons yet.
Z, if you want, you could just say the aspect ratio thing.
Okay, Blade 2 is the only film in the trilogy to be shot in 1.85 to 1 aspect ratio. The other films were shot in widescreen 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio. So this film has it's less widescreen and more action in the center there.
That's like halfway between 4:3 and.
So I think it really does benefit from that, and it being a lot tighter in the field of vision Nothing is wasted in any of these scenes.
Yeah, it's great. Especially it complements the set design as well to just make sure everything is there.
Angry Batman, who's a newly minted brown belt of my memberships. He's it says Lord the Mosquitoes. I like it.
I like it.
It does kind of sound like that.
And yeah, he's in his weird bloodbath, man.
One of my favorite shots of the whole movie. This guy, his ending, just every time I look at him, I just think about how he goes out like a bitch. But like he really could have been so cool, man. Like this is a beautiful shot.
The amazing overacting of the last couple lines that he has before he dies is, "Are you insane?"
I know it took this long to actually get involved. Like I don't know. I think Princess Fiona pointed out like ages ago, like he just runs out like a bitch. Where's if you're either going to have to really have some amazing physical capabilities or whether it's psychic, at this point, this guy should have some options. Like he shouldn't be defenseless. I do not like seeing defenseless vampires. That's one frustration with this guy.
Well, it's weird because initially the first time I watched this movie, I actually thought that he was going to rejuvenate and become younger after stepping into the pool of blood. And no,
yeah, kind of like a Lazarus pit for
basically.
Ra's al
And
Ghul.
you know, it's funny you say that, and that's literally what happens to Blade. He falls in the pool of blood, and he just like he gets like
he gets
a sensu bean.
Also, like, how many times are they going to use that trope for Blade in this series? Like, let's just we'll drain him of his blood, and then we'll give him blood, and he'll be good. He'll be fine.
Throw him into blood. Yeah, I know you can't. There's only so many times you can do that.
And, ladies and gentlemen, the autopsy.
We do actually need to let Golden Age Geek go, unfortunately. As much as we like having him, he has some other obligations that are not this film. So I'm gonna let him have the floor for a moment and tell us anything he wants to about the movie before he leaves, and give us a plug your shit a little early.
Yeah.
Well, I would just like to comment on the whole body horror aspect, because I also recently for the first time watched The Thing, and well, John Carpenter's The Thing, and the body horror in this also gives me similar vibes to what I saw in that, you know, with the mouth enlarging, and also that had an autopsy scene as well. Yeah, I just look at that. That's
it's beautiful.
It's proper grim, isn't it? And I believe
it looks delicious.
I believe as well in like the audio you can hear like the crunching of of all the skin being peeled off. Or
this is one of my favorite autopsy scenes for sure.
Don't worry, we'll go back over it. I just want to give Golden a chance to say his pieces.
No, yeah. So yeah, just overall thoughts before I have to dip out. I think this film, as some of you have already mentioned, objectively, maybe the first one is a bit better because it's a bit more dynamic. Perhaps there's a bit more focus on sort of the juxtaposition of the human and the vampire world, but I really do like this one because it does delve into the lore of the vampires a bit more. And I think in any other film, if you had because of course we have the club scenes, but we also have the scenes in the more sort of modern building, I think in any other film it would kind of create a bit of too much of a tonal shift, so where you think, and this doesn't really blend together that well, but how they blend the classical and the modern architecture, it just works so well, and it really makes it believable. And there's a lot of timeline and continuity between the history of the vampires and of course the world that they exist in now, which is much more advanced and technological. So I will make sure to catch up on the stream, you know, whenever you re-upload it, because I want to hear, you know, your guys' thoughts on the rest of the scenes. But this has been fun. I've enjoyed talking about this movie and sort of revisiting it as well. It's always a fun one to go back to. I would say out of all three of them, this one is definitely the most fun. There's a bit of you have to think, and there's a lot to delve into, but there's a lot of scenes as well where it's kind of dumb fun. You know, I mean, we've already talked about the CGI. You know, if you're looking at it on paper, pretty dumb, but you're just seeing all these characters do some badass shit. It's amazing.
I think it's
a good way to put it.
I think this is the first time I saw Ron Perlman in anything as well. So yeah, it was interesting because I've heard a lot of people talk about him. To see his character and how he sort of gives off this tough guy persona, but he really gets made to be Blade's bitch in a lot of scenes. It was very cool to see.
Dude, yeah.
I mean, Golden Age Geek might be related to Little Platoon. We'll have to do some DNA tests to confirm.
That's actually what I thought at first, Fiona. To be honest with you,
that is an insult to the Little Platoon. He has a lovely voice.
Dude, you have a really good voice, man. Don't sell yourself
you're
short,
smooth as
dude.
chocolate, buddy.
Dude, yeah.
But yeah,
you're your own worst critic, aren't you? So.
Do you have anything coming out anytime soon that you want to plug?
Yeah, dude, plug your shit, man.
I mean, all I'll say is if you go check me out on my YouTube channel, Golden Age Geek, I'm usually covering primarily Doctor Who stuff. That's, the franchise I'm most invested in, even though the current stuff I'm not that fond of. But yeah, you can catch me over there. I'll be talking about all sorts of pop culture stuff, not just Doctor Who, but whatever it is that comes up really that I feel like I need to comment on. And yeah, that's about it really. So I will unfortunately have to leave you guys, but I hope you enjoy analyzing the rest of this movie. And yeah, I will be leaving you now. So,
and I will see you back for Blade Trinity when we do that one. And,
for sure.
Yes,
we'll have you back on.
That'll make for an interesting conversation indeed.
I don't care what Jedi Brooks says. I don't know.
No one has anything to
have you back, man. Golden, it's a pleasure to have you back. Hopefully you come back very, very soon. We won't wait.
We have him scheduled. He'll be back in June, I believe.
Nice. All right. Cool. Cool. And do check out Golden Age Geek. He's actually the reason why I started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So yeah, he has some good stuff on his channel, some great live streams as well. So do check him out, and a soothing voice too. So
and he's always represented in my office right there. So
yep, it is.
Oh, the glasses.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, man.
Okay, it was great having you on again, man.
Farewell.
Yeah, man.
Take care.
Okay.
All right. So
now that he's gone, there's less British going on now.
Hey,
how dare you,
Tyler? Yeah, I thought you were reviewing Blade 2, not Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yeah, he does bear resemblance to Dracula. I mean, the Reaper that they're dissecting on the table. So yeah, I guess, ladies and gentlemen, the dissection scene. I did show the clip, but it's fucking fantastic, man.
Look at that.
The yellow teeth and everything. The dead shot of the eyes, like everything about this scene is amazing.
Especially the eyes; those are that sells it
like
to me.
Like a doll's eye.
I love the fact that she's making Scud do the autopsy part, and like everyone's just like, "Sissy," like I was making fun of him the entire time. It's just this. I feel like this scene, we got some of we got an insight into like what we could have got with the Blood Pack in terms of the dynamic. Like we should have seen them all, the interactions, and like it's unacceptable to me that we didn't get some of that.
And even just the way the body moves, just ew.
Yeah, the way it reacts to the blood is just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
it springs back to life.
So cool.
The guy who did the teeth for this scene is a guy called Gary Archer, and he's a specialist makeup artist who does dental prosthetics.
I hear uninspired in the background of someone.
Give me 1 second.
That's why I have no problem with cats. I love cats. I have 2 cats myself.
Yeah, thank God you like cats, dude. But yeah, it's just really good. The sound effects too is squishy. I bet you all of this is edible, like in real life, of course. Like they probably made it out of food for sure. What do you guys think?
I have no idea what they. I mean, the random stomach vagina is a little weird, but
yeah, I don't know, man. I really think that it was probably made out of something edible. But yeah. So what do we learn during the autopsy scene? I mean, it's just really, really, really good. And so what we see is the fact that they have not only the Reapers, of course, they have a stronger bite. The tongue is what infects the other people. The neurotoxin, as we saw before, coming out of the teeth. And their heart is basically encased through bone. And the body stays alive even if, they're brain dead. So constantly on the hunt for food. So it's like, yep. Fuck this, I'm out. Yeah, I don't know, man. If it's twitching, that's where I'd say, oh no.
So
this is
one thing.
It's a fun bit of science, and it's consistent with everything we've seen about them so far. So I just think it's an awesome scene.
I like the fact that, and a lot of movies might completely forget to do this, by the way. They remember to have the bomb on the back of Reinhardt's head. A lot of movies might just like now would overlook that detail.
Yeah, I think they would have probably forgotten it through continuity or something like that. Yeah,
like because it would have been filmed out of order or something.
Those are the little pieces of continuity that you can really appreciate. Like Doctor Strange in Infinity War still has his scars from the surgery. You know, like just little things like that. It should be important. Like Aragorn uses the greaves of Boromir from the after he dies in the Fellowship, and you see him using those throughout the rest of the trilogy. Like those details matter to people. Legolas picking up arrows throughout. Like I always look out for those things.
Yeah, that's why we love movies where you can actually see people reload guns and
anything, man.
Pay attention to their inventory. Unlike
yeah. Wait till we get to the sewers and the amount of not reloading that happens in that scene.
One of the points I made in my last video was it was so refreshing to see people actively try to get their gun after being disarmed. Like go after your gun, pick it up, and don't act like it just doesn't exist because someone not disarms you. Like it's so annoying sometimes.
So, fun fact about this scene, this was like the first thing I came across when I was doing research. Apparently there was 30 members of the cast and crew were temporarily blinded because of the UV lights being misused during this scene.
That's true. That really happened. Yeah.
That was like when I was doing research, that was like the number one thing that kept popping up every time I was doing research.
Yeah, because you can't stand on a film set for like 11 hours with UV lights permanently on.
Well, anywhere with UV lights. Yeah. There was this rave a couple of months ago. I think it was a year ago. And instead of using normal lights that were just like colored, they used UV lights. And so basically all of the ravers went home blind, and a lot of them were blind for about a couple of days. And it's only a couple of like days after the event that the owners issued a statement that they used the wrong lights, and so everyone was basically blasted with UV rays all night. So yeah, man, it's a scary way to go blind, to be honest.
But you will know that is a vampireless rave, at least for sure.
Yeah, Blade won't just show up and kill everyone. That's for sure.
Won't have to.
Yeah, so moving ahead, what they decide to do is they go to the Reaper lair during the day, and of course Blade and Nisa have a moment, and she's basically just not happy about how he treats the Blood Pack because he doesn't have any respect for them, even though they're all putting their lives together on the line, and that he should come to terms with being a vampire because she did years ago, because she had no choice and she was born a pureblood, which. Yeah, he does set down his injection. Do you guys think that he took it after or not? Because they don't show. Well, after Nisa talks to Blade in this scene, he puts down his injection after she says that he should come to terms with what he is, like a vampire. And do you guys think that in the scene after he takes it or not?
Yeah, I think so, because he would have had gone through his withdrawal symptoms if he doesn't.
Yeah, 100%. They're just showing the pause for him to highlight him, like considering what she had to say, like the perspective. And if anything, like I don't know, I think their relationship was kind of interesting in this movie. The couple of moments that, like, even when he's describing the UVs to her and saying, like, just make sure you take cover. Like they kind of have a little bond that works. That they don't do much with. It's like that's why I commented on the Blade derangement syndrome comment earlier, because I'm like, I feel like most of the things I'm saying is like missed potential in this movie, and other than that, everything's cool.
Fiona actually had a great comment I highlighted. Yeah, I think my biggest issue with this movie is the lack of floods through. They introduce so many concepts but don't follow up on them. Super wasted potential. Should have been 2 films. Yeah, I actually
exactly what I was saying. Yeah,
it should have been like Blade 2 and 3 should have sort of been a follow-up, like very close follow-up with the same characters that they should have evolved on, you know?
This could have been split into 2 movies as the second and third movie, and had the Blood Pack be fleshed out. And I think her relationship with Blade, going from her grilling him like that to like literally seeing, you know, like the dynamic. Like if anyone's watching Shogun, I think they should have taken the approach that they took with the Anjin and the and Mariko. If anyone's watching that show, I know Lance, you probably know.
Yeah, I'm reviewing it every week. It's the best thing on
television. I'm fucking loving it right now. I'm loving it.
It's so good, man.
I had a buddy over and I rewatched like a big chunk of it last night.
Every scene in Shogun is just spot on dialogue, and
extremely impressed.
Yeah, it's one of the best shows I've seen in a long time, and I'm a fan of the
Are they done yet, or how many episodes are left?
No, there's 3 episodes left.
Good,
right. Well,
good.
I'll watch it in 3 weeks.
good.
10 episodes, and unlike Masters of the Air, just everything, you're so invested in every character in it, even the minor characters. You kind of want to know what's going to happen with them.
I'm blown away that they got me to care about their relationship, the Anjin and Mariko. I thought it was just gonna be like, oh yeah, okay, she's hot as fuck. She'll be the love interest, but the dynamic they've achieved is fantastic. So
yeah,
watch Shogun, people.
Yeah,
all right, yeah, watch Shogun.
It's very earned. It's very earned.
I'm gonna binge it when it comes out. So back to Blade. Basically, it's Norman Reedus and Nick Nolte. They're bonding together, and what they're doing is they're making what is it specifically? They're making
UV grenades.
You're saying Norman Reedus and Nick Nolte.
Yeah,
you keep saying Nick Nolte. Yeah,
I keep saying Nick Nolte. He looks. I know it's Chris Christopherson, but he looks like Nick Nolte. She does look like Nick Nolte, man. You can't lie on that, man.
Well, when Nick Nolte has a beard and long hair,
Nick Nolte in Hulk 2003, Ang Lee's Hulk,
or Tropic Thunder.
Or Tropic Thunder, yeah. So they're making UV
flashbangs.
And this again too, you mentioned it earlier, but the old school clashing with the new school and the way their relationship develops over time, their different approaches to different type of things. Actually, I think is one of the better parts of the movie. It was worth bringing Whistler back for that. Their dynamic was fun, and it's just again, every time I compliment something, I think of like, man, this is so cool, but they could have done more with it. Like, this whole thing, Whistler and Scud's dynamic, and then Nisa and Blade's dynamic, and the entire blood. There's so much character to work with that they didn't do.
So the Nisa and Blade dynamic, I think that's a Guillermo del Toro thing, because Guillermo del Toro doesn't. He said this in his director's commentary, in a lot of his director's commentaries. He says that he doesn't like to do relationships in his movies. So, for example, Pacific Rim. Yes, I'm bringing back Pacific Rim, but it is one of the examples where Mako and of course, the Charlie Hunnam's character, they're basically, you think that they're gonna kiss at the end of the movie, but if you watch the director's commentary, Guillermo del Toro really says that whenever he has a male and female protagonist in the film, he doesn't want them to have this sappy love story, which is why I'm very surprised that he won like an Oscar for The Shape of Water, which is just like a love story. You see what I mean?
But I think it's just the characters that make it work and the whole dynamic. The love story is believable. It's like it's a more appealing version of Beauty and the Beast almost, in some ways. Like there's a lot of things about that movie I like. And you say you like romance movies. That's why I'm actually surprised.
Oh, dude, I love romance movies, man. That's why I say I need to rewatch it, because I watched it once and that was it. And keep in mind, I'm still only like 22, dude. So when it came out, I was probably like 16.
The antagonist is fantastic, and the overall vibe of the movie is fun. But I'd be curious to see what you think of a rewatch.
Oh yeah, I'll rewatch it. I'll rewatch it for sure. I love romance movies. For those of you who don't know in the chat, who think that my favorite genre is horror, no, my favorite genre is romantic movies, romantic comedies to be very specific. And the reason why I like horror is because I think horror is the best genre to tell a story in, because of its versatility. So
you missed out on this one, buddy. The original script.
You're just a big soppy pussycat at heart, aren't you?
Yeah.
What were you saying, Z?
You missed out on the original script had a sex scene between Blade and Nissa. So
we don't need. That's one thing Blade does not need, sex scenes. Like Blade.
I bet you Blade would beg to differ that he doesn't need. Sex.
I would like to know. I genuinely have no problem with Blade banging like all the girls in the movies and whatnot, but in terms of a sex scene, I would rather just like get the impression that it happened. It's just he's not that type of character. Like he doesn't. I don't want to see him romanticize. He's not Bond. Like we don't.
I don't want to see Wesley Snipes' dong. Man.
Yeah, I don't want to see like him fit in game. I want to see the stoic Blade. I really want to see him only in Blade mode. That's what makes it.
Yeah,
work.
I'm Blade. Just Blade.
And so in this scene also we get the story of how Blade met Scud, and basically Blade saved Scud from a threesome gone wrong. That's the gist of it. And he's been working with him ever since. And these are the UV grenades that they're making. And what they do is they decide to suit up to go and, of course, get the layer that we saw the Reaper coming through from before. And so they've prepped everything. There's the UV bomb package over there. And Norman Reedus smoking weed as always. And this movie does canonize the fact that Blade smokes weed, man. Because the first time we see Norman Reedus, he asks B if he wants one. And he says later, which implies that
see
Blade smokes weed, ladies and
gentlemen. We don't need we don't need a scene of Blade hitting the bong. Like we don't need that.
I've met Norman Reedus once, and Norman Reedus is as cool and chill in real life as he is in all of his movies. like that's just how he talks. He's very like reserved and doesn't really thing. So like to see him in this movie where he has long lines is a little weird because I've seen him both in real life and he's really similar to like Daryl Dixon in real life.
Yeah, that's why I think that like Daryl Dixon really, of course, it benefits your career if you're on a show for multiple seasons, so you don't need to work again. That's 100%.
Well, yeah, when you're the unintended breakaway star.
There's a lot of longevity in playing a character that's literally just you. Like,
yeah,
exactly.
like
you've made it at that point. Like, fuck it. Like, I don't have to do shit to show up.
Yeah, like when I was, because I did like a whole thing where I met all the Boondock Saints cast, and
nice.
Sean Patrick Flannery is very much like joking around and like Norman Reedus will tell jokes, but like they're very quick and like it's very much like he snipes in a joke and like this, that, and the other. Like,
he has a good TV show. Do you know the Norman Reedus rides? He basically just goes across the US with stars and they just ride their Harley Davidsons and he interviews them while they're riding on their Harley Davidsons across the US. It's a pretty entertaining show, man. He's the host.
I'd hate to be the person in charge of trying to remove the ambient noise from that show.
Yeah, it's called Ride with Norman Reedus. There's 6 seasons of it.
Was the director of the Boondock Saints at that event?
Probably, but I only met the cast. I didn't meet the director and stuff.
You've seen that documentary about him Overnight, right?
Yeah.
How he destroyed his whole career.
Yikes.
I mean, that's a topic for another.
The only person who wasn't at the meet and greet thing was Willem Dafoe because he doesn't do a lot of.
Yeah, you can just randomly catch him in the street in New York. That's where.
He doesn't do a lot of appearances. You just kind of like see him, like he'll just be walking, and you'll be like, "Was that the Green Goblin who just walked past me?"
He just jumps out of alleyways at people.
Yeah, Z, you were saying something?
Yeah, it's quite funny that Blade declines the joint because one of the biggest problems on Blade Trinity is that Wesley Snipes wouldn't come out of his trailer because he was smoking weed.
Yeah,
I heard he wouldn't come out of the trailer because he was fighting with the director or something like that. But like he was just
he wouldn't open his eyes because he was fighting with the director. That's the trailer was the other thing. But that the scene in Blade Trinity, which we will be reviewing for the show, is that they CG'd his eyes open when he's laying on the table. And for years, I remember before I heard about that, I was like, why does this look so fucking weird?
He refused to open his eyes. That's like a real.
He refused to open his eyes, so they just CG'd them open.
Wow, that was some petty shit. But
I would just love to know this, like, what leads someone to do something that childish. Like,
I can look up the story. I remember reading the story years ago. Just give me a minute.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious, man. That's one of the. There's stories like this. Like, I would rather hear behind the scenes stuff about Blade than watch like the next Marvel movie. You know what I mean? Like, this is just iconic lore at this point.
Yeah, and Atom Gray. Hey, Atom, how you doing, man? Legitimately saw Willem Dafoe in the NYC. Yeah, like there's so many videos of random people who aren't even famous that just walk past Willem Dafoe and they're like, "Hey, dude, how you doing?" Like,
Keanu Reeves has that all the time. People always talk about how they run into Keanu Reeves on the subway.
Yeah, so weird. So what they're doing is they're going to the to the Reaper place, and what they've done is they've made pheromones as like perfume bottles. Pheromones, aka suck puppies nut juice. That's what Ron Perlman calls them. And it's to attract the Reapers. And at this point, just before going, Whistler sort of confronts Blade on the relationship that he has to Nisa. And Blade tells him, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, which in retrospect is a reference to Scud, of course, because Blade knew that Scud was a traitor this whole time, which I like it too. But in context of this scene, what?
I was just gonna say that scene. Like, we'll get to it. I mean, but like,
yeah, don't worry.
The fuck.
So there's really not any details about the exactly what was wrong between him and the production staff for Trinity, but just that yes, he did in fact lock himself in his trailer for days and get high, and but a story apparently at one point he hit Halle Berry in the head and made her deaf in one ear. I just read that too.
What?
I don't even know what movie that was for.
What? I think that would have been more. We would know about that story if that actually happened. Like, made her deaf.
I'm looking that up right now.
That's something we would have heard about. Like, that's like Tyson biting Holyfield's ear. Like,
okay, so I don't know, man. That sounds kind of weird, but Yeah, moving on to the movie, everyone's got their GIMP suits on, and they're finally going into the sewers. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go into the Reaper layer. So what they do is, of course, I'll give you the context because they divide themselves into 4 groups when they enter the Reaper layer. So the first group is Whistler, Chupa, and Reinhardt.
Just such a stupid group they choose, might I add.
Yeah, it's a dumb group. The second group is Len and Snowman, who basically fucking die instantly, so it's even useless to name them. The third group is Nisa and Assad, and the fourth group is just Blade by himself because he's just that
Blade.
dude.
Blade goes with Nisa and Assad, but
No,
then
he
they
goes
split
by
up
himself.
again.
Yeah, I mean, so technically it's a fourth group.
Yeah, they
him by
re-split up. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, so they've got the GIMP suits on, they're going through, and this is one of my favorite scenes when
not all of us could see in the dark, you nipplehead.
You fucking nipplehead. What am I supposed to do? It was worth bringing him back just for that line. Like he's such a legend.
I like to think when it's a line that's that great that is the first line that somebody thought of and reverse engineered the whole script around it.
Oh
That's
my
what I love.
God. I will find a way to put that in one of my videos someday. I just love that line so much.
not all of us can see it. It's so good. And so yeah, so they give him the I guess the thermal
yeah, it's the thermal goggles they've been using up to this
thermal
point.
goggles that they're using, yeah. And of course that's when Lighthammer decides to transform, coincidentally, after 24 hours, and he attacks Snowman, which we don't even see the fight, man.
Rip Snowman. Like this, tell me this was cut. Like they could have had an incredible sequence between these two.
It probably, I wouldn't be shocked if it was cut, because I mean Donnie Yen was the fight choreographer on the movie. Like what?
There's no way he didn't have a fight scene. Like, come on. This was one of the things I remember being so frustrated because I remember wanting to see this character fight again, or at least getting something out of him. And then you're telling me he's just dead, and the whole team just like, such a waste.
I was always slightly confused by this. So obviously they chose the right character to be the one to switch to a Reaper because he's the bald one who kind of already looks sort of dead in the eyes. So it would be a thing that you wouldn't notice as, you know, obviously with him. But if he went into his Reaper mode and he's become very mindless, so to say, why does he switch and why does he activate the spike end of his hammer? Like you would think that he would just not even care about that. He would just attack
this
him.
Looks like he wants to kill this guy. Like fuck you, not my chance. It's a mistake.
And there it is. Like, should have played this all out. As Brooke said, you know, they could have had a dynamic where maybe Snowman and Lighthammer were rivals against each other, which is why when he's transforming, he wants specifically to kill Snowman. But
we could have done even more than that. It could have been a complete accident. Like there's so many things they could have played with. This is incredible moment of waste in terms of so many different things. The fight scene that these two could have had, the setting of the sewer would have been really cool to be able to
very claustrophobic setting.
Yeah, there's so much they could have played with there, and like you said, it should have been a whole drama from the very beginning. We should have had the dynamic of this entire team. Like maybe he could have been the one. He could have been the one to have respected Blade and looked up to him, and maybe like this guy hates Blade, like Blade killed his brother or some shit. There's a whole dynamic there to play with.
Go ahead, Z.
I just hate it. Go ahead.
One of the biggest failings of this film is they don't give the blood pack any character, so you don't care when they die. If you actually found out a bit more about them, they had a bit more character development, perhaps you might have a bit more sympathy in the dynamic when things start to go wrong. But because you don't attach to any of these characters, when they get off one by one, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're very one-dimensional. Yeah, Snowman is just the martial artist.
You feel nothing. You feel nothing, and it's
Lighthammer is just the brute, the barbarian, whatever you want to call it. This was like a D&D situation.
One-dimensional.
What's her face is just his girlfriend. Like we don't even know what she's good at.
Verlaine, that's pretty much it.
Priest is just a guy who takes shots at the bar. Like that's all he does. And then he gets thrown through the bar.
Oh, and he hates half-bloods. That's it.
And he hates half. The only one that really gets, I mean, if you count Nisa and Assad as part of the group, no, I was going to say Reinhardt gets it. Chupa kind of to an extent because you get to see
he gets a character at least. We at least get to see him like
he really doesn't. He really hates Nick Nolte as
he hates Nick Nolte, dude. Look at him.
I mean, let's be honest. The only character development Reinhardt gets is he hates Blade. and that's just maintained throughout the film. You know nothing else about him.
Yeah, he's as characterless as anybody else. He's just cool. It's just Ron Perlman being Ron Perlman. But he really is. He's almost as characterless as any of them.
This is Ron Perlman when he was still in shape.
That's true. He like because Ron Perlman is actually huge. You know, to get in shape at that build is actually a feat. Because I'm like 6'2", and to actually like for me to get in shape properly in shape, it's very hard because I'm tall. And man, that's something that they don't tell you. But that's why like I'm happy for short people, man. You guys can get in shape way faster than me. So yeah,
it's
Uninspired, just like short. You short people, you got the life. I'm just gonna be over here reaching things on the top shelf, and you could be over there.
But it's just it's body types, right? Like if you're 6'2" at a certain weight, it's gonna be really hard for you to get the muscle definition and like the growth. A lot of people, body types is a big factor, man. Like,
I'm gonna show you some pictures of some dudes that I've trained with, and I'll show you exactly what body types are, man. Like there's this one guy that I train with. He's a black belt. He's about the same height as me, but he's about 235 of pure muscle. Jesus. And it's insane.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, like body types are something else. And
to be able to be that big with such low body fat is like genes is a big factor. So like there's so much you can do.
That's true as well. And so yeah, so at this point in the film, Reinhardt and Chupa basically just beating up Nick Nolte, and Reinhardt leaves Chupa with Whistler, and what they do is. Oh yeah, Whistler uses the pheromones to attract and try and get himself out of the situation. Meanwhile, we go back to Lighthammer, who's basically just killed Snowman off screen. And Max, you can build muscle pretty easy, man. I envy you.
I mean, Uninspired is 5'1".
It's not as simple as being short. Every short person is just jacked according to you. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, dude, every short person is jacked in my mind.
I was gonna say I like Chupa. Like the only bit of character we get from him is that moment of like we lose a teammate, then Blade loses one. At least I know from that he like is a team player and he cared about that guy.
It's also a reference to when like once Priest had died, the first person that he went to was Whistler, and he said, "I'm gonna carve. Don't make me carve his name on your chest," because like Whistler had disappeared during that period of time. So they said that maybe if Whistler was still on the roof being a sniper, maybe Priest would have died.
Yeah,
so,
you could have some hostility towards that. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And
I don't understand how him being a sniper outside would have helped.
I don't know, dude.
No, just the fact that his friend died and he has no one else to blame except this guy, so he's going to. Like some people just want, they need.
Like it's your fault, you guy. I hate you.
I can't expect him to be rational when his friend just died in front of him like 3 times. Like they kept chopping him in half and everything.
Like first he died to the Reapers, then we killed him, then his head was still.
Why? Him die like 3 times. Like I don't blame him for being irrational.
Yeah. So yeah. Of course. Oh, Melvin is back. Yeah, Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte specifically from Ang Lee's Hulk in 2003. He looks like Chris Christopherson in this movie.
Which we might do that movie after we do Blade Trinity. So.
I like Ang Lee's Hulk, man. I enjoy it. I think it's stupid, but
you want to do Ang Lee's Hulk?
I like the desert scene. The desert
scene is
fun.
But yeah. So Verlaine just dies here. Snowman dies, and Lighthammer also dies. Just in an instant. We don't see anything.
This is her character development right here. Is that she realizes it's better to just die.
Yeah,
this is when you know they're just like deleting characters. They just need to get rid of as many people as possible.
Yeah, cannon fodder.
The movie starts to tilt.
She actually. So I was looking up obviously various actors and stuff. The lesser actors that I didn't know much about. She doesn't act like at all anymore. She like gave up years ago. Apparently, I forget. I had all the actors pulled up, but I closed.
But she doesn't seem American. Her real name is
she's Swedish.
Marit Vel Kyle. I write all of this down. So yeah. And so of course, Nisa and what's his name? Nisa and Assad. They basically go on their own while
Norwegian. Sorry, she's Norwegian, not Swedish.
Oh, and of course, at this point, Reinhardt starts to get attacked by the Reapers, which are crawling on the wall. Which I really do like the touch of them crawling on the wall. It just adds a lot.
So I just looked her back up. I just pulled her page. This was the first thing she was in.
Oh,
that talk about like at the time. This was, these were pretty big movies at the time. Starting at like the top of the mountain, essentially.
Yeah, with the role where you barely speak
and then she did nothing but one episode stints on television series for a while, and then retired from acting.
Well, you want to see if she actually dated one of the producers on the film. I suspect.
I don't have much information here on her. It's just the very limited that I have.
Yeah.
So one thing that I wanted to talk about the blood pack that I wrote in my notes, of course, we said that the blood pack was wasted and that they didn't really flesh out their specialities. But I wrote down on my notes, like, to compare it to, have you guys seen Day Shift, the 2022 Netflix vampire movie with Jamie Foxx?
No, I didn't watch it.
Okay, so it's actually it's an okay movie. Okay, it's an okay movie, but there is one specific scene where Jamie Foxx's character has to team up with different vampire hunters to go into a mansion, which turns out to be a vampire lair. And so they just have this 15-minute action sequence. And the thing is that you meet these other two vampire exterminators, one of which is Scott Adkins, by the way. So the action scenes are actually very, very good. And
luckily, I told you his name yesterday.
Yes, you did. Yeah. And of course, like, what they do is they go inside, but during those 15 minutes where you only see those dudes in that period of the movie, they managed to show their speciality so well. And I think it's so wasted because we did have one action scene here, but everyone was just using guns. At least Reinhardt, he has those guns with knives on them.
Yep. Yeah, like they're bladed pistols.
You're so right. And there's probably so many different examples. Like if anyone knows the anime Naruto, Akatsuki is another example of that. It's a villain faction they introduced, kind of just they're all just shadows, but each and every one of them managed to be memorable characters. None of them were wasted. I couldn't believe it. And this is an example of that, of like when you introduce a faction like this, there's just so many opportunities in terms of their styles and like the skill sets and the weaponry that they use. How do you kill vampires? Like, what's your style? Like, just come on, we've seen this a million times, and like I will never forget this movie for that, because it's something that's on the forefront of my mind every time I watch it.
It's just guns and guns and guns. So it's like, how can I differentiate? The only person that you can differentiate are Lighthammer and Donnie Yen's character Snowman. That's pretty much it. Because they don't use guns, they use a hammer and sword. The rest of them is just guns. That's it. And even Reinhardt, as I said before, he has his unique set of guns, but he doesn't really use them until this scene, and he only uses them for one shot. That's it, which I do have in a clip. So I don't know, man. It's absolutely wasted potential. But Reinhardt, of course, he has the bomb pack that he's gonna blow in the East Tunnel because that's where they are. The Reapers are, of course. So Blade goes to warn Nisa and Assad. However, he does arrive there too late, and Assad dies, sadly. Blade does some weird stuff while the grenade explodes, and which we cannot see at all because just too fucking bright.
Just Blade showing off, slashing water. I can remember.
Yeah, and so at this point, he's letting Nisa go ahead, and he does catch up with her.
I just want to add, I do like Blade. He's a pretty good leader. Like, I do like the that side of him that he showed. Like, at least he cared for Nisa and the game plan in general. And it just showed these through few scenes here highlight the potential that this franchise had for even other areas. Like, he is a pretty decent leader. But they didn't capture that dynamic in Trinity. I really hated him being with the crew. Like, it just as much as the blood pack was wasted, I prefer him with the blood pack than with Ryan Reynolds, to be honest.
Is this an inconsistency that they're showing Chupa having body heat?
Well,
I don't know.
I'm guessing it would be, seeing as they've previously established that Blade is the only one who does.
Yeah, so like he should be green.
But are they using the same tech? Like, or is that
Whistler's? Is it thermal or is it like infrared? Or I don't know.
Because this might be what Whistler's using.
Yeah, this is what Whistler is using specifically, but I don't know if like how it would show up, because unless we need the specific goggle set that he's using to see which spectrum of light they're using.
This would be a very strange mistake for them to make. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because they would just pop up green. Like, you'd still see the shapes and everything, but they do it green the same way they did in Blade's lair when they first attacked.
Yeah, because their body heat was much lower.
Yeah, and they did it in the entrance scene where they're going into the club. I just feel like this is something they wouldn't screw up. So mistake we're making.
I don't know. We'd have to cross check. But it could be a mistake. We have to cross check. And of course, so Chupa dies, ladies and gentlemen. R.I.P. Chupa. And at this point, the only survivors are Reinhardt, Blade, Nisa, and Whistler in the tunnels, of course. And Whistler, of course, he makes his escape, which we'll see about later. And Reinhardt, just, I mean, yeah, he's trying to survive, man. Guns blazing. And they meet up, the three of them. And Dark Hour, this clip is for you.
You obviously do not know who you are fucking with.
Man, John Wick ain't got nothing on Blade when it comes to headshots, dude.
It's just fun, man. It just reminds me that a lot of the trailer shots were from this scene, a lot of the sewer things.
That I love. That's one of my all-time. That's one in my top 10 movie lines of all time.
And I remember being surprised because in the trailer he says "messing with." They censor it, so I was actually surprised to hear it the first time when he actually swears. I was like, "What?"
I had to bring my camera back up just to show you the glow on my face for that scene. There is one thing that makes very little sense to me about that scene. So they put a bunch of these flashbang grenades, right, and they rig them together so they go off at the same time, but that would just make it a lot brighter in that immediate area.
Yep.
It wouldn't
spread. It wouldn't
travel. That's
makes
not how
no
light
sense.
works.
But it's cool,
especially in like a slow moving wave.
I don't know. Like it would work if you had mirrors around the sewers and it would just refract the light for sure. But they don't. It's just it would just make a huge bomb.
Someone mentioned something in the chat that I think we should definitely remember for the end. But even if people leave, like people's favorite line of the movie.
Well, I mean, I just gave mine away. I guess I'll
that's what I mean. That's your nipplehead. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Nipplehead might be one of my favorite insults.
I'll give my second favorite line if you
like. That's just the goat right there. So,
so Nick, Nick Nolte manages to escape, but he gets caught by Nomak, and Nomak gives him the ring and tells him to tell Blade the truth. That's why he's letting him live, and of course,
ring to rule them.
Yes, the ring to rule them all. And one thing I do like is the set design, because when Blade is walking to get to Nisa in this scene, all of the corpses are really like they're still smoking, which I really like the subtle touch.
Really cool.
I just love it. And so what he does is he saves Nisa by giving her blood because she's basically half dead. She sort of managed to get out of the explosion, but still. And Nomak is staring them down, which means that he knows where Blade is. Which, of course, helps because, the cavalry is here, ladies and gentlemen, but they're not really here to save you. And this is the Mosquitos, the mosquito guy.
I remember being
Lord Mosquitoes.
Lord Mosquito. That's actually kind of funny. As I just remember genuinely being pissed that they'd use Blade, and you fuckers, you lied to me. Like I knew you were lying, but I didn't think it was this much of a backstab. Like I couldn't believe this. Like, just use it.
Then, of course, we've got some weird kinky action with her and her dad. I don't know. I wouldn't do this with my father, to be honest with you.
But you're also not a woman.
That doesn't change shit.
Yeah.
I mean, she just walks up and she's crying to her dad. It's not like he might be treating
he's
it
probably
weird.
like 3,000 years old. Who knows? Like,
that's true,
this might be some traditions. I don't know. I just think, again, anytime you put this man on screen, it's just back to what we've been saying earlier, wasted potential. He looks fantastic. He's got a cool name.
Great screen presence.
Yeah.
Lord damn mosquitoes.
Yes.
Lord the mosquitoes, man. And so what she is she's basically asking her dad for forgiveness because Blade saved her. So she thinks that she did a, disgrace to the family. Because, she's supposed to be, she's been shown since the beginning of the movie to be one of the top people of not only the Blood Pack, but of their entire thing that they have going on, because she's the only one to go head to head with Blade in the first fight, and the only reason why they stopped was because Assad told them to stop. If not, it would have been a fight to the death where she might have had the edge. And so we finally get to the place, and of course, Damaskinos is basically telling us, oh yes, he designed the Reapers to be the next step of vampirism, but failed, and that he is in fact Nomak's father, and all that you can see on the.
I thought it would have been obvious. I thought it would have been obvious at this point.
Yeah, all the stuff that you can see
I
on
passed
the
it on
there,
from father to
embryos.
son.
Yes, the way he says it too is a really good delivery.
Well, it's
And,
good. He's got that like gravelly German voice, which just is really creepy.
Yeah, and of course, all of this is news to Nisa, who of course is angry at her father, but you know it's still her father.
What I want to
so
know is how a German vampire had a Chilean vampire and a British vampire. I'm just trying to figure that part out. Like how'd that work out?
And yeah, Norman Reedus finally reveals to Blade that it was him all along. He's the one. He's a familiar for the Mosquito Man. And yeah, Norman Reedus suffers a good fate, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? I have the clip, so let me play it.
It's not a dud. I was just starting to like him.
That's my second favorite line because it comes right after "you little shit."
Yep. Yeah, because he punches him and he's like, "Yeah, I let them in. You think that my security is trash? Like, no." And,
so one thing I've never been able to put two and two together on this one is, so obviously of the two of them, the bigger threat is Reinhardt, who, like, what if you knew it wasn't a dud? Why did you wait till it was out of his head? Just blow it up if you.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, no, you do make a point. Because yeah, what would Norman Reedus be able to do? He's still a human at this point. So no, you do make a fair point, man. I guess it's just because they wanted the battle with Reinhardt at the end. That's pretty much all I can offer you, dude. Yeah, they just wanted him to have a 1v1 with Reinhardt to probably show his. Well, it's because it's something that they've been building up to since the first time they met each other. So would have been kind of stupid to. I think we would have complained if Reinhardt just died like that too. You see what I mean? So yeah, and of course, what happens now is he's dead. So yeah, and Nisa confronts her father, who says that like, yeah, who do you think God favors, the spider or the fly? And it just means that, yeah, it's the next step of evolution. You shouldn't question what I do. I'm older than you, and sit the fuck down. Basically, that's the gist of it. So they do is they capture Blade and they want to harvest Blade to basically crack the DNA stuff about how he is a half-blood, because the whole reason why
he's a Daywalker. They have plenty of Daywalker.
Well, I mean, technically he is still a half-blood, but like half human, not half pure blood. You see what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So they're trying to crack the code, because that's basically what the Mosquito was trying to do with.
I'm guessing that this is about Norman Reedus' character. Yes, I would like to bring in a doctor to confirm his death. Let me just put this. Could you imagine the coroner coming in to be like, "Yep, yeah," because they can't. Because I don't know if it's the same where you guys are from, but in the United States, we need a coroner to come in, no matter how ridiculous the situation. They have to be the one to declare the guy is dead, right? Can you imagine? Could you imagine like this dude just blew up from holding essentially a super mega mini grenade, and they actually have to bring in a coroner to find like at least a piece of him and be like, "Yep, he's dead."
That's him. I recognize him.
Does he have any recognizable tattoos? Yeah, there's a chunk of them on the wall over there. It's like, all right, cool, done.
Yeah, I recognize those eyebrows.
Is his eye blinking? Is it blinking like Priest's was? Because then he's just doing this.
Yeah, just a twitch. That could have worked. Dark Tower is back, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that smile. How can you?
My back is killing me from the what is it? The sciatic nerve pain. So I had to like relax for a while.
Blackula. There, I said it. Yeah. Black Dracula. Anyways, we're almost done with the movie. So, of course, at this point, they want to harvest Blade. Reinhardt wants to torture Whistler a bit before he kills him. And of
Go
course,
back real quick. I just noticed something.
what?
They have the Die Hard gun back there.
Die Hard gun.
Remember the blonde dude from Die Hard?
Yeah.
Remember how he had like the really cool looking assault rifle that he like puts together?
Oh, which one is it?
It's right. It's the one in the two in the middle there. That's like
they're on the wall.
I never noticed that before.
That's the same type.
Yeah, I don't know guns well enough. If Princess Fiona's still in the chat, she knows guns pretty well.
Oh.
I fail at American when it comes to gun specifics.
So the Die Hard guns are in the back, ladies and gentlemen. And at this point, you've got Nomak that's trying to break through, and he's a force to be reckoned with, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, just before we switch back to Nomak, you have Chris Christopherson that saves Blake by killing what's his name, the lawyer. There, I'll call him the lawyer. So we kill the lawyer, and he saves
the blood-sucking lawyer.
Yeah, the blood-sucking lawyer. He saves him, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, we go back to Nomak, who's basically just here like a final boss in a video game, which I just love. It's so well done too. Just really, really love it. And the screech at the end. The effects on the face are really, really good. I think they hold up pretty well, to be honest with you.
Before we move on, we do need to part ways with Lance as well.
Yep.
So I'll yield the floor to Lance to give his final thoughts on the film and then plug his shit.
Yeah, Lance.
I think somebody mentioned it earlier, and I actually think this would have been a great idea. I mean, they never would have taken the gamble because not many people had done it then. But what they should have done was shot 2 and 3 back to back, and basically, made the blood pack an integral part of that story. Given each of them a unique set of skills, maybe one unique weapon each.
Well, they did all have unique weapons. It's just it wasn't really an emphasis.
I think they could have done. I think each of them could have had a gimmick. Each of them could have had either a different fighting style or a different device. But I just think
they should have treated it more like a Dungeons and Dragons team. I think is what you're saying.
Well, not really. No,
reason to remember them.
More like a vampire special forces unit.
Yeah,
is what I'm talking about.
And each of them
Dungeons and Dragons team, please. Get Tiamat in the group next. But I just think, and I think if they'd done that and they'd shot, they'd done a Back to the Futures Part 2 and 3, and it's always hard to get a studio to make that kind of gamble, but they would have had a really good trilogy, and it would have made a ton of money. So this film for me has got brilliant things about it, but I think there's a lot of things that let it down as well, if I'm honest. I remember that was I can't remember my very first reaction to watching it for reasons I explained earlier, but when I saw it again, I always remember thinking, I always thought this film was a bit disappointing. There's still a lot I like about it, but I just think it could have been a lot better. And I do wonder if, people meddled with it a bit too much.
It does seem to have a feel of some studio meddling. Yeah,
missed opportunities has been like the overall theme for like a lot of the points that we've been making, because we all know what we like about it, but it's just so easier to talk about the missed opportunities because we see like this is a fun movie that could have been a great trilogy.
Yeah, and wish I'd had the chance to write that script. Anyway, coming up, just the regular show on Tuesday nights, and then Shogun every Wednesday until Shogun's finished. And I'm going to be starting on Sundays at the end of April. I'm going to be doing we're going to be breaking down Band of Brothers. I know lots of people have done Band of Brothers streams, but
I've never.
Some of them have done them with the actors on, but this will be doing it with people that work behind the scenes. So we're going to be talking about how it was shot.
I'm gonna check that out for sure, because I like the fact you're covering Shogun. I'm gonna check out the next time you're on. But I also have never seen Band of Brothers. That's been on.
Oh man, you got to watch the first season. I mean,
I'm watching the whole thing, and then I'll check out your.
Yeah, I'm with Brooks.
I want to see people who are covered.
I only watched Band of Brothers like recently for the first time, and it wasn't even paying attention to it. It's because my dad was watching it on TV, and when I'm on my computer, I'm in the living room, so I can just like look up from time to time, but I haven't properly sat down to watch it.
You get so much more out of that show every time you watch it, and it's the same with the Pacific, which is much harder to follow the first time you watch it.
I love The Terror, love Master and Commander, I'll probably love Band and Brothers, I'm loving Shogun, like anything that's like, you know.
I just imagine Uninspired watching it, and when they're in France, he's like, wait a minute, I know that street.
It's like, hey, Normandy, I know that place.
And I've got we're doing a special episode of Chew the Fat on the film Special Bulletin, which is the directing debut of Ed Zwick, who directed Last Samurai and Glory.
Oh, cool.
I'm trying to get him on.
Nice.
That's a movie I'm definitely rewatching after Shogun. This Last Samurai vibes for sure.
That will eventually find its way onto Two Hoes. Don't worry.
Special Bulletin is his first movie. Special Bulletin is on YouTube. You can see the whole thing for free.
Oh wow!
And it's almost like set in real time, and the whole thing is just like a news report about terrorists that take over a tugboat that's got a nuclear bomb in it, and they're threatening to blow it up in Charleston Harbor. It's extremely well done, and not many of the actors in it were well known at the time. But David Clennon from The Thing is in it.
Uninspired can see all the locations his grandparents surrendered.
Lance and the rest of the chat has convinced me to watch Band of Brothers. Everyone, I'm sold.
Yeah, you should. It's
hey, Lady Arundi.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure, man.
Of course. And thank you for letting us listen in on your private phone call with your friend.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. More Danny, please.
Oh yeah, I have asked him to come on. He's going to try and come on before he goes out to shoot Death in Paradise next month. So if he comes on, if I can get him on this side of that trip, it'll be pretty soon.
Nice.
So keep an eye
Well,
on
Lance's links are in the description. I'll also put one out in the chat as well. So do check him out. I really think Lance deserves a lot of love. He does some great stuff on his channel. A lot of good live streams. A lot of industry interviews, which are fucking phenomenal. So yeah, if
Plus,
you guys...
we interviewed the cast of The Thing, the musical.
Yes, we did.
We're the only people to have done that.
We did it. Yeah, we had Richard.
You need to see it to believe it.
So
the Muppets are on there. All
do
right,
check it out. Do check out his channel. And dude, thanks for coming on, man. Really
thanks for having me. I'll see you guys again soon. All right.
All right. See you, man.
Take care.
All right. So
we're slowly getting picked off like members of the Blood Pack.
Ooh. Anyways, we're almost done with
one by one.
Yeah, the movie's pretty much we're at the end here. So.
Yeah, and so basically at this point, I really love the mosquito's reaction where he says, "Oh, don't worry, he's not gonna get through."
Yes.
Instantly gets through. He's like,
he'll never get in here, and then boom, he just fucking just high jumps right in.
Yes, high jumps and goes directly for the elevator where he's trying to escape from, and it's like, yep. And of course, at this point, Blade and Whistler, they're trying to make it out because Whistler saved Blade, and they're getting hunted down by Reinhardt. So Whistler and Blade decide. Well, Blade throws himself into the bath of blood because that's what will sort of revive him, which of course it does. Because look at him, man, he's coming out jacked, steroided on blood. You know, it's just
probably coked out of his mind.
Oh yeah, and of course, this is probably my favorite fight scene in the entire film due to how absolutely brutal the kills are.
I love how earlier you totally skipped the ability for us to make more of those police brutality jokes when they beat him down.
We did enough with Morbius and the Matrix.
Yeah.
So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I just love this fight, man. I think it's so brutal, the way that people get killed. And so I think that these guys that he's killing are humans because Norman Reedus has a throwaway line the first time that they're entering the mosquito's place, and he says all of the
guards
like
are familiars.
Yeah, the guards are familiars. So yeah, these are basically just humans getting their skulls cracked.
So yeah, basically the lore is that the more important zombies, I must say, vampires. I mean, vampires take giving their familiars the vampirism very seriously. Whereas, like further out. That's why like they hate the Half-Bloods, because the further out, they're just giving it out willy-nilly out there. You know.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me play the clip. Dude, it's the last guy that he just pokes the stick directly into his face.
No,
like...
I love the delayed backdrop that he does. The
Dude, it's great. I just love the intensity and the violence of it all, especially because at this point Blade is arguably more powerful than he's ever been because of all the blood. So it's just 100% just juiced up, and we finally get Blade versus Reinhardt, which
huge disappointment.
Yeah, huge disappointment. Well, you know what? Let me play the clip because I do have the clip of this.
Can you blush?
I would like to point out that despite the fact we said he doesn't not wear his sunglasses, there is a split second there where his sunglasses do fall off.
It doesn't even look like he has eyes when it does like when he gets split in half with the sunglasses. It's kind of weird. I don't know.
He has a really cool little speech too, right before he gets killed, where he's like, "What my daddy said to my mom before he killed her," and like, you know, it's like,
yeah, it's just so weird, man.
It's a really cool, but it's like a cool little like setup for a fight speech, and then it's just very anticlimactic.
Yeah, let me give my 2 cents in. I missed that chunk there. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, man. They set him up so nicely with the little monologue, as if he has a character, and then he dies like just the most pointless, stupid death. And I'm with you on Inspired. That's definitely probably one of the most fun fight scenes. Just the soundtrack and everything. It's just like just a blockbuster moment.
It has that awesome opening line too in the song.
Roid Rage.
Get ready, you motherfuckers!
Yeah. It's a very self-aware fight scene. Like they're just like, we want to see Blade go on a roid rage at this point and just smash people. Like, who cares?
And you could tell Donnie Yen had a hand in choreographing that, because it has
it's got a nice flow to it.
Yeah,
it has a nice flow, and everything is just hand to hand. There's no weird CGI jumping around, all that stuff. It's just pure hand to hand combat.
What I want to know is, why did the guards show up without guns?
I was about to say it's set up in that way where they have stuns, but why? I'm thinking that, why do they have stuns? You're right.
Well, they need to keep Blade alive because they want to work on his body. So they need to like incapacitate. They want to keep him alive because they don't know if maybe they kill him, maybe it'll be like lost forever. The key to developing vampires that don't have
that would work. That would work if it wasn't for the fact that they know so much about Blade. They know that's not enough. Like, a group of guys with stuns is not enough to take on Blade. It's just like maybe roided out Blade.
Maybe they're trying to go the Futurama route and hoping that he hits his pre-designed kill counter, and then he'll just... I love using that in videos.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. But I really like the fight. I think it's like it has great intensity. The Reinhardt fight is absolutely disappointing, piss poor.
It's not even a fight.
I have a feeling it was just it was probably because Ron Perlman probably just would have looked terrible in a fight. That's probably why they did so much fighting before, and just it probably was just a way to offset that.
It didn't have to be head to head. Like, I personally would have liked to see a situation like Blade has been outsmarting him the entire time. We don't need to see him outmuscle Reinhardt at all. Like, this should have been a situation of Reinhardt thinking that he could finally get Blade because he's injured or whatnot, and Blade's outsmarting him one more time. Like, just keeping that going.
That's not my actual sword or some shit.
Like, you know, just anything.
That was honestly what I wouldn't have given to see Blade versus Donnie Yen in a sword fight. Like, that is the biggest missed potential, is having that fight.
And so one thing I wanted to compliment was the fact that, you know, the effects when he gets sliced in half, and it's weird because it really made not number one, it's shitty CGI, really, really bad CGI in comparison to like everything else in the movie. And to have it for Reinhardt versus Blade, I think is kind of weird. But the fact of having someone sliced in two, this isn't the first movie to do that. But there's a movie called 13 Ghosts. It's the remake, the 2001 13 Ghosts. You see Dark Hour, you know what I'm talking about. It's when
with the glass.
Yeah, exactly. Shaggy, when they cut him in half, dude.
They do it twice in that movie, I think, if I recall correctly, where they do the cut in half thing. Yeah, because they do it with the villain at the end, too.
Yeah, and it's like that had some good CGI mixed with practical. And, knowing Guillermo del Toro, I don't know why they wouldn't just have like done it that way. Because if you guys look it up on YouTube, like 13 Ghosts, dude cut in half, it looks phenomenal. It looks incredible. So I don't know, man. It's kind of weird. And it was a year before this, with a lower budget as well. So
13 Ghosts would be a great movie for Two Hoes, because there's just so much.
Yeah, go watch 13 Ghosts, man. The remake was pretty. It was dumb, but it was very.
Shannon Elizabeth being in it was what drew me in. Like it was after her.
Yeah, that's the only thing I remember.
It was after her being in American Pie, and I was like, I want to see everything she's in ever.
I feel like she affected like millions of people, like a whole generation with that.
She affected millions of teenage boys. Yes,
100%. Like
you see, I didn't even know that her name was Shannon Elizabeth. Like in my mind, once I see her, it's Nadia. That's it.
Yeah,
Nadia. From American Pie. Done. Yeah, I mean, I watched it because of Matthew Lillard. I'm a huge Scooby-Doo fan. The live action version of Scooby-Doo. And yeah, it's one of the rare movies that I can actually quote from start to finish.
That's a dude that I feel like his career just fell off like crazy. And
no, dude, he was in one of the most successful movies of last year, dude. It was a trash movie, but it was the most successful. Five Nights at Freddy's, dude.
He was in that? I didn't see it, so like
it was literally one of the most financially successful movies of last year. So yeah, he was in that. And I guess he announced that he's doing he's playing Scooby-Doo or something in another live action.
You mean Shaggy?
Yeah, Shaggy. Sorry. Well, he does do Scooby-Doo as well, so he plays the voice for Scoob. Yeah, but back to Blade, ladies and gentlemen. So of course, Nomak right now is finally confronting his father, and this is also lackluster because he just dies.
Two shitty confrontations that were built up into nothing,
back to back as well. Man. Yeah, and
you don't have the line. Oh, you
no, I don't
insane.
Yeah, man. Like,
it's like one of the few lines I could do right.
But there's so many things I hate about it. Like I said earlier, the idea of seeing a defenseless vampire pisses me off. Like you have to explain. Like if he's not physically
especially if he's
capable,
old as well.
Yeah, he should have other either protectors, or abilities. Like how is he just completely defenseless? How did he not see this coming?
To me personally, the best depiction of a vampire in terms of being old and powerful in cinema that I've seen is Van Helsing. Dracula from Van Helsing is something else, man.
I don't even remember Van Helsing.
What? Dude, you should rewatch Van Helsing for Dracula alone. He's a badass in that movie.
I'm taking notes, don't worry.
Dude, Van Helsing is fantastic. It's kind of like Blade, where a lot of it doesn't make sense, but it's such a good guilty pleasure. There's even an EFAP movies on Van Helsing, man. You should check that out too.
Vampires, I feel like, just underserved generally in media.
Yeah, but in Dracula, I mean, he's so scary to the point where you just see his shadow and you're scared of his shadow. Like they emphasize on how incredible this dude is. It's crazy.
Have you guys seen the found footage movie Afflicted?
Oh yeah, I love Afflicted, dude.
Afflicted is one of the best, like a vampire found footage movie that it's fantastic. It's like nobody knows about it, but it's easily one of the best vampire movies for me.
Yeah, just Afflicted from 2015,
exploring someone transforming into a vampire over time.
It's a fantastic film. I highly recommend Afflicted 100%, especially if you're a found footage.
If you're a vampire fan and you're a found footage fan, it's just a must watch it tonight type thing.
And so of course Nomak turns on his sister as well, Nisa. Well, she kind of lets him do it because she wants to die, I guess, for some reason. And Blade decides to hop in with his PS2 cutscene graphics.
Oh yeah!
Here comes Blade.
That's a triangle right there. Up triangle.
Yeah.
It's a QTE, man. Yeah, QTE Blade.
I was playing Onimusha yesterday. It looked better than this.
Jeez.
Yeah, and of course
that frame.
I to this day I have no idea why he breaks the handle off to pull it out. It's like just leave the handle on to pull it out. Like what are you doing?
Yeah, you just make it hurt more. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
the little
true.
things that you notice over time of like, why do that?
Maybe the fact that if he knows that if he grabs the handle, that splice thing comes out and it would have chopped his arm off.
Maybe.
Which they completely didn't even bother to like acknowledge that.
Well, Ron Perlman looks at it once before he's about to beat Whistler. Like he opens
he opens it up and that's it. Yeah.
That's pretty much the only acknowledgement that we have. It's kind of wasted that they didn't do it in this film. But ladies and gentlemen, Blade versus Jared Nomak, round 1.
You guys didn't see it. I know. You saw it. That's so what he did was called an Ippon Seoinage, and when you hit, both his shoulders didn't hit the mat, but in judo, if you throw the person and both their shoulders hit the mat, it's always a small Japanese man in a suit, but he always goes Ippon,
yeah,
Ippon.
Yeah, dude.
That's what I did when he did it. Like no one could see it except for Uninspired backstage.
I love how flimsily thin that door is.
Yes,
so funny.
My favorite part about that fight is that they both seem to forget in the very beginning that they just run into each other's chest first. It's just
like WWE inspired.
Yeah, it's very much like two frat boys that haven't seen each other in years. Yeah, let's go. Like,
no, they specifically wanted to emphasize that this is going to be a brawling. Like, how many fights did they fight? That was the second fight or
second fight?
Second fight, yeah.
Just the second fight, yeah.
I still think we could have got more out of these two. I would have liked to have a sit down conversation, like you know, Joker and Batman, like how they got to sit down. Like, some of those like the Punisher and Daredevil, like on the rooftop, like
which would be
they needed
cooler.
one of those scenes.
So Nomak is made up for this movie.
He's not in Blade like any other.
No, yeah, they made him, I think, eventually, but he wasn't in the comics originally, and. So they could have done a lot with the fact that they had a clean slate to work on.
He could have been an amazing character.
Yeah, he could have been a great villain, and plus, like the actor that they had really did it properly. So
it's all there, it's all right there, and the potential for this to just write a story, but they just didn't do anything with them.
It has the good bone. It has the bones for a good movie, but just doesn't have the the meat on it. Just have the finishing touches. That's the biggest issue. And so they continue the fight and. Goes into weird WWE like
what is going on?
This is just killer. Really? Yeah, he gives him a Heimlich maneuver because he's trying to choke, and I don't know, man. I think it's good at least that it was a proper brawl, and once again we see the Blade is totally outmatched even when he's trying to fight this dude.
A little late on this one, Tim Talk, but I will acknowledge this.
Yeah, look, even till the end, completely outmatched. He's being tossed around like nothing. Yeah, and this is considering that he's high on blood at this point, so he's basically very strong.
High on. That's the reason why I think it's even going to be even more interesting. He's one of the characters that can like overpower Blade and force him to be able to adapt. Blade is used to just dominating, right?
Yep, exactly. And even with technique, this dude is just pummeling him without that much technique, but
like
just strength.
He literally wins this fight through research that he did, which is why I love about it. Like but so much more we could have done. Man, that looks fantastic. Look at that mouth.
Yeah, what that mouth do? There it is.
Just nasty.
I agree. The fact that the sunglasses somehow stay on, despite the fact he's being thrown around the room.
Yeah, dude, we need his glasses manufacturer. And so that's what he does. He grabs the knife that he grabs the rest of the blade that Nomak had pulled out at the beginning of the fight, and he stabs him from the side. As you know, they said in the autopsy, you can only get through from the side, and that's how he takes care of Nomak. Which I do appreciate that they saved some of the best CGI for Nomak's death.
I feel like this was the entire CGI budget, and the rest of it just was like, we're just gonna
The rest of
we're gonna render it on a child's toy for the rest.
Let's render it in Unreal Engine too. That's done.
Yeah, and a good entrance scene, good death scene. Just not the whole middle wasn't written well. It's just it sucks.
Yeah. And of course, he takes out Nisa, who just wants to be to see Sun for the first time. Which it's weird. I think I've seen this in a vampire movie before. I'm not too sure which one. Probably a lot of them. I don't know. I just can't wrap my head around it.
Here's the funniest part about this is that she says, "I want to see the sun," and then when the sun actually rises, she's not looking at the sun. She's looking at Blade. So like.
Yeah, dude, looking at how cool Wesley Snipes is before you die. That's like
she's like, just remember to pay your and then dies.
Pay your what? Pay your what?
What do I have to pay?
And
they did. You're right. They didn't. They really could have did more with that. But like, it's a cool thing to play with, at least with vampires. The idea of like they would have an obsession with the sun. It's something that they just can't have any relationship with. It's death for them,
unless you wear sunscreen like they did in the first movie.
Oh, fuck off with that! Like, come on, that's like I will forever ponder about that scene. They just broke. Like, I don't like that. I think that should be enough for you to like run through the sun for like maybe 2 seconds and still be fucked up for a week.
Yeah, you need SPF 45,000 to even get like from room to room.
Literally, to just get through a. Yeah, I hate that.
Well, for instance, I mean, earlier in the film, Reinhardt is wearing full leather coverage,
and it goes through
his hand in the sun, and it's burning him through the leather.
So, yes, that's how you do it. It should be. Yeah. It's the ultimate thing to balance them. They're so overpowered, other than the fact that they have this one weakness that's just so fundamental.
Well, I mean, they have several, but that's really the weakness.
That's the one. No one talks about garlic silver. Fuck off.
Yeah,
you're not catching a proper vampire with that shit. But the sun.
They do in this movie. In the last one.
Yeah, but garlic probably is like just stay away. You can't approach me for like a meter. But they can probably just be fast enough to take you out.
I would love in a vampire movie, like they go to a restaurant and like they order dinner, and then like the chef is unaware that it's a vampire and puts like garlic in like the pasta or something.
You want like a Monty Python sketch on vampires, basically. But
like,
you know, as
he just starts like coughing. He's like, "Was there garlic in that?"
Like as we said before, like the sun, you know, Brooks, you said the sun is the only thing that like is probably something they'd want to see, and just to end the movie on the shot of Blade looking directly into the sun, you know, the Daywalker, that's what he is. I guess it's great.
Yeah, there's things that work. That's one of the moments there. Like that's perfect. Like yeah.
And
you sure that the girls are live?
Last time I checked, dude, yeah. So London, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to Buckingham Palace. No, I'm not making a pun. That's what it's called.
Yeah, I love the sunglasses he has on. They're like half mad scientist, like half regular sunglasses. It's pretty cool.
His look as well just really makes it funny. It's just so good. And he goes in there and he even has razor blades with him. He's like, just
razor blades, 1, 2.
Yeah, and he's basically
he's so ready.
He's ready to jack off basically
with razor blades. Apparently, I don't understand that part.
That's what I was thinking about too. I was like, oh, that must be nasty. And
I like it rough.
That's nasty.
And, ladies and gentlemen, the curtains open, and it is not the girl that he was expecting.
Well, you didn't think I forgot about you, did you?
Always love that ending.
One of
that's
the best
one thing
payoffs, man.
Yeah, both movies have really good end sequences. Like so.
Yeah, and directed by Guillermo del Toro, ladies and gentlemen. I do have a bit of BTS pictures just before we leave. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
This is pre-diet Del Toro.
I have never seen Del Toro skinny. I shit you not. It's like a rare Pokemon, dude. I've never seen a picture of Del Toro skinny.
This was also the only of the 3 movies that used the original ending. They didn't do any reshoots or rewrites or anything like that.
All right. Wesley Snipes looks cool as a motherfucker. Just look at the way he's staring at Del Toro, dude.
Yeah, it is Blade, man.
Del Toro's like, don't worry, we're gonna film most of this in Texas. There's no state income tax there. You'll be good.
And, this was the set of the blood pool, basically. I really liked it.
That's probably the most iconic set that they had in this thing, because that's so, like, you see that picture, you know exactly what that's from.
And it's huge too, man. Just look at the size of the people in comparison to the set. It's massive. really good.
I wonder what they used, because it's probably water, but I'm guessing it's food colored water, but I like to think of it as possibly Hawaiian Punch. I like to think of it as
a bunch of Kool-Aid that they just used. Yeah.
Kool-Aid. It's probably more better for jokes right there.
Yeah, exactly. Drop Blade and some Kool-Aid, and these are just the last two that I found. So that's Chupa.
You could barely see Lord Damn Mosquitoes right there. You could barely see his ass.
With a cigarette in his mouth and just chilling. Yeah, this was it. So ladies and gentlemen, that was Blade 2. And boom. And then there were 4. Da-na-na. Oh yeah. So what are we supposed to do now? Last words. Yes, I forgot. Sorry, my brain is a bit in shambles right now. Just quickly, everyone, what are your last thoughts on the movie? I guess I'll do Brooks, you first.
It's interesting going through it because like I said, we all established at the beginning how much we like it just for the vampires, just the action. It's just a fun movie. But what I've noticed more through discussing it now is it's definitely one of the ones to talk about for missed potential. I really think this could have been a great trilogy, and I've noticed that now more than ever. But still love it, and it's just so interesting to look back, like all the effort they put into it, and some of the most interesting things ever done with the vampire genre for sure.
Oh yeah. Z, what about you?
Absolute worthy sequel. Some excellent action scenes in this, and I just can't rate this enough. It's probably the strongest out of the 3 in the trilogy. So I really enjoyed coming back to this. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed just rewatching this movie. I don't know. I think it has better rewatchability in through the entertainment portion more than Blade, like the first Blade, which it's always
pacing for sure.
Yeah, it's an action film like through and through. Like it's designed for that. Like the pacing is key from the beginning. Opening sequence, they don't really let you get out of that. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, and Dark Hour. What about you, man? Any last thoughts?
I mean, I can't really say much else other than they said. This is my favorite of 3. I definitely do agree that they could have did more. They could have fleshed out a little bit more of it. Maybe made it a little bit longer. Maybe made it about extending it by maybe 20 minutes or
20 minutes. Cap it out at 2 hours 15. About
it would have been better. But I still enjoyed it rewatching it, and I enjoyed rewatching this one more than when I rewatched the first one.
It's some motherfucker trying to ice skate
uphill. Now that is the best line from the first one.
I mean, I don't really have anything to add, so I guess I'll do my favorite line. My favorite line is probably the some of us can't see, man. It's like it's just so funny. It literally made me laugh out loud when I was doing the slides for this last night at like 2 a.m. It was just so funny.
Hilarious. It's perfect, and it's just true because imagine how frustrating that would be. Anyone who can't see in the dark.
Yeah,
no one's acknowledging that.
Yeah, or I guess the what's it called? They want to spray us. Wait, I have it in my notes. I said it even during the stream, man. They want us to spray some suck puppies nut juice on us. It's like, yeah, that was really good too. I think it's because of Ron Perlman's delivery, dude.
Ron Perlman had some great lines throughout it.
You guys have any other lines?
I already said mine. So.
Him bullying Ron Perlman at the beginning is fantastic. Like, what are you looking at her?
What you looking at her for?
Yeah, he just establishes dominance in such a great way.
What about you, Z? You have anyone?
No, I think there's just some iconic lines right the way through this, isn't there?
Yeah,
especially the can't see in the dark line really made me laugh.
I also really like Priest's line where he goes like that's a great line too. That's all he does.
And that I get it. I see now. You've been training for 2 years to take me out, and now I'm here. Woo! Exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. but it is, man.
And then he takes the stake and puts it right against his heart.
Yeah, do it.
Go ahead,
that's the only time they did anything with that scene, and it is. He's not kidding. It is exciting. The idea of looking at a crew who's been training to kill you for 2 years. That's so fun to work with. They did nothing. I just want to justice for the blood pack. That's all.
Oh yeah, justice for the blood pack lives.
If this was made nowadays, they would have survived. At least more of them would have survived. Maybe like
I think so,
3 or 4 of them, and they would have had a spin-off television show.
That's what I'm saying. They could have all been good characters that you could have possibly span off. Like maybe at least 2 or 3 of them had that potential. And I agree with Lance. This movie should have been fleshed out in a way where it could have been split, and the third one could have been a part 2 of this.
Rockets, the TV cut of the original. You people do not know who you are messing with.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, I mean, we said this before, but you know, if you don't want to watch Blade Trinity, I think that I'd recommend watching Van Helsing if you want like your fix for a cool, fun action. Like in terms of like being in the same vein as Blade 2, Van Helsing is where it's at, man. Great vampires, great werewolves, incredible CGI as well. Story is a bit okay, but Kate Beckinsale in leather again. Who, you know, come on, dudes. You of course want to watch that.
She almost exclusively acts in leather, like skin tight leather nowadays. So it's like,
yeah, dude. I mean, even in Underworld, wait, how many Underworlds did they have? The last one was like
24 or 5 of them. I have like the original 3 trilogy pack on Blu-ray, and then I never bought the remaining ones.
Yeah, the last Underworld movie was in 2016. She still looks good in that, and she also did the wasn't she in the Total Recall reboot? You know, the trash one.
Yes, I believe
she did the Sharon Stone's role.
Yeah, well, they combined that and Michael Ironside's role into one role. They made it just one role altogether.
Yeah, dude.
Which I actually, in my opinion, that's actually not a terrible change that they did. It was smart to consolidate that role. It just wasn't a particularly great remake.
Yeah, but Kate Beckinsale, man, she's aging like fine wine. But yeah, no more spin-offs. Please, Lord, save us from modern sequels, prequels, remakes, and spin-offs. I don't know, man. Depends on good ones. Yeah. But yeah, guys, I guess it's time to plug your shit, ladies and gentlemen. So, Z, what do you have coming up soon that you want to let the people know about?
Well, you can find me on the Mr. Brown Alliance channel on usually on Wednesdays and Sundays. We've got us through tomorrow night, probably about 10 o'clock. So do tune in. We'll be talking about the week's pop culture events.
And that's 10 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. So do your translations.
It is Greenwich Mean Time, British time.
Real time, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, because we invented time and we make the rules.
Well, you invented time zones, I think, or is that how it worked? It was like the way that we use the modern time zone. Time existed before. just no one knew how time zones worked up until like a certain point.
Have we done the first 2 Hellboy movies? No, we have not. This is only the 21st episode.
Yeah, don't worry. We have hundreds, thousands of episodes yet to come out. Until Uninspired is done making slides, then that's what we're
Brooks, what about you, man? It's time to plug your shit. What you got?
I would say the most recent thing to plug isn't actually from me. It's the work that I did with EFAP. We the highlight of my first appearance there, Wolf basically chopped up a 10-hour video into one, and I ended up checking it out with a friend, and it's like I was surprised how much of it featured me just ripping into Nick Fury. So like I can kind of throw that in there if you want to see that highlight. It's on the EFAP highlights channel, and also we did the Loki show going through those episodes together. So
did they go through all have they released all the episodes for that one?
Yeah, they're all out now. I couldn't make the last one, but I'm there for like pretty much the entire thing, and we break down just as much.
Yeah, because I remember I watched the episode that they were like, "Oh, Brooks is in here." I was like, "Oh shit."
Brooks, I get some good love over at the Discord for EFAP.
I didn't even oh god, it was a scheduling issue, and it was this stupid job I was working, and it's like that I was so pissed that I didn't make
He's just over there just welding angrily. Just,
no, I came home and I'm ready. I'm like, okay, I guess we're starting in an hour, and I pop in and then like literally at the end, and I'm like, oh shit. I didn't even know. Yeah, so we'll see. But that I'm still working on my MCU video. It's gonna be massive. It'll be around 90 minutes. I finally finished the editing the narration. And it'll be for people who have seen my scene comparisons. This will be definitely a different take because we're going deep on each character. Each character section could have been its own video, and I've decided to like release it into like a massive chunk. So hopefully it'll be a fun watch for everyone. Definitely want to check it out. If you're fed up with Marvel and all the bullshit that's just fall apart, this will be a good like closing summary.
I think we're almost getting to the point where people are even casual crowds are more than just fed up. They're done.
Nobody's No, the idea of the continuity there is not anymore.
It's not going to move the needle much anymore, and it's good, which is going to be really interesting for a lot of channels.
Like names. So, I mean, Deadpool will always sell, Spider-Man will always sell, but that's pretty much it.
But the juggernaut of the MCU is gone. Like they've ruined that mystique.
Yeah,
Deadpool is going to be a very interesting situation to see what happens with that movie because there's
Deadpool. My bet is on word of mouth, man. People will watch it first week. If it's good, people will say it's good. If it's worth the watch, people will go watch it. If it's another just like MCU thing, I think it'll still make a significant amount of money. My bet is on 700 million, but I do think that that's just because of the Deadpool name and not because people are like going to be critically watching it. You see what I mean? Because if you put something out like what was the last MCU movie to come out? The Marvels. Not a lot of people are interested in those characters, like normies, I mean. But you put Deadpool, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Deadpool 1 was an action movie. So people who aren't even in the sphere of knowing what's going on with the MCU right now are still going to go watch it because it's Deadpool. You see what I mean?
Unfortunately, I feel like what kind of happened with, and obviously it's not on that level, but what happened with The Flash, where they were just throwing random shit in there, like, oh, and remember this continuity. This is kind of where they're at now with Deadpool, because they're bringing him in all these things for him to kill off, and it's usually the final nail in the coffin is when you're self-referential. Yeah. Self-referential to everything, and that's all you have left. And
This feels like their last card. Like this is the last card they have to play, and I don't even really think they're going to do much.
Well, they even said it in the trailer. They're like, "Is Deadpool here to save the MCU?" It's like
that's what I mean. Right. It's so self-aware of the situation that we're in. Like they know everything is fucked. And what annoys me on top of this is like the one character who stayed away from all the bullshit of the MCU in terms of damage is Daredevil. And he's just being wasted slowly from She-Hulk to Echo, and his own show is probably going to be garbage too. So it just sucks. Fuck you, Disney.
Yeah, the MCU is falling apart. We're shifting to DC and seeing what James Gunn is cooking up over there, man. At least we know it's a clean slate on that end. So could be interesting. Yeah, clean slate. As long as he brings back all of his friends that are playing in major roles, that's what we call a clean slate for James Gunn.
Yeah, James.
But yeah, anyway. Dark Hour. What you want to plug, man? Because I know you had a new
video. Well, yeah, I mean, I just dropped it like a couple hours ago, so no, I haven't even gotten around to really talking or posting it anywhere or anything. But I just out of sheer obligation to talk about it, I made a quick breakdown of the choreography from the Roadhouse remake. It's only about really the choreography. I don't really go into the details about the plot and stuff. So it's about a 5-minute video, just highlighting the things they did good, the things that looked bad, and you know, I've been trying to throw those back in for the people who've been following my channel since the beginning. I know there's a lot of people who liked those when I first did them, so I'm gonna try to do a couple every year, like maybe like 3 or 4 every year, depending on which movies come out and if I could think of a good one to do.
Did McGregor embarrass himself, or is he all right?
Go watch the video.
No, I mean the movie. The movie overall, not the
he played himself, to be honest. It's just an exaggerated version of himself. It's the same, you know, I'm a pimp, all that shit. It's his way of acting.
Yeah.
His way of acting during his press conferences and stuff is just what he did. So
yeah. All right.
He was the only enjoyable part of the movie, to be honest with you.
That's what I'm hoping, because like McGregor, if they can capture the right part of his personality, they can definitely have some fun with the character.
Yeah, he can be entertaining.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, other than that, I have a couple of a couple of other videos I'm working on right now. Nothing coming out in the immediate, like probably the next week or two. Gonna take a break from reviews for a bit, because honestly, the time crunch on reviews just sucks.
Yeah, dude.
And it seems like everyone just gets mad at me when I don't. So it's like you don't like this, or you hate it, or you what? It's like, you know, it's like.
No Godzilla versus Godzilla and Kong shade over here.
Well, you and me have to talk about that afterwards, but
dude, yeah.
Okay, but you gotta just roll with that. Like if you stand by your opinion, you stand by your opinion.
I do stand by opinion, but sometimes I need to just sit back and be like, let me do a video that people are not gonna get mad about.
I have to argue about Riri at least once a week. Fucking Riri Williams. Like, you can't talk about her. It's not her movie. I've had like 500 people say that to me.
Well, that video is what basically built you. So of course it's gonna, you know. That was like your one that like really took off, right? Your Ironheart video.
No, it was the Rings of Power one is what got me.
Oh, okay.
But then the Ironheart one just exploded. So yeah, that one actually hit 2 million. It's fucking nuts.
Nice.
It's crazy because you released it like so far after she was relevant too. It's like
that's what I mean. That's why I say fuck the algorithm. It's like if you have a video that you want to make, you have something you want to talk about. It's just maybe people want to listen. It's all about the presentation. Who gives a shit? We just talked about a 20-year-old movie.
Yeah.
The one video I ever made where I was like, okay, I got to go by the algorithm was my Marvels video, and I hated every moment of it because like
I enjoyed reviewing.
But like it's such a shit movie. Like but compare that to movies where I'm really passionate about the script and the entire process. It's just different, you know? And
I see what you mean.
I never want to be bullied by the algorithm and like, and if it doesn't do great, you feel fucking terrible if it's algorithm. But if it's something you just really care about it, then
that's why I like to do my fight scene videos from time to time. And I have a couple of, I want to do a micro documentary on some things. So we'll see where that goes.
Make sure you don't use WWE footage, man.
Oh yeah, that was great. I don't even want to go back into that. But yeah, so I think it's time. We'll talk about it afterwards. It was a funny process that I went through with them, but I've already told the story on here before. So
I mean, me
now,
for example,
plug your shit.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I haven't really been into YouTube for a while. Just some personal stuff, and but yeah, I'm coming back slowly. Promise you guys a video, and I actually think I have a proper idea of one that I'm gonna make soon. It's on a Spanish movie. I'm actually motivated properly, so yeah, it's been a tough few weeks for me, man. Just like so that everyone knows why I haven't been releasing videos and stuff, which is why I really like doing two hosts because it just occupies me, and
that's what this show is for. It's for making you
fuck
feel
yeah,
better.
dude. Yeah, of course.
You know what makes you feel better? Not just one hoe, two hoes will always make you feel better.
Yeah. So yeah. If you guys haven't been seeing me on live streams or anything, except for two hosts, that's the reason why I'm kind of like distancing myself a bit, because just like my mind isn't there, dude. I said the lights are on, but no one's home. I'm basically just, my brain is on autopilot right now, and it's not a good feeling, but I'm getting out of it. So yeah, I'm trying to work on this new video. It's gonna be on time crimes or Los Cronocrímenes, 2007 movie, one of the best time travel movies that I've ever seen, that I really, really do appreciate. It's also sort of a horror slasher movie as well. So yeah, it's true, exactly. So yeah, hopefully I release that by maybe next weekend, and if not, the beginning of next week. So probably next week, Monday at the latest. And this one 100% promised for sure. It's just going to be a short video. I'm not sure yet if I want to get into spoilers or not for it, because I do think it's a movie that you benefit off watching the first time without knowing anything about it. So yeah, I'm going to see how I do that. But yeah, my next video will be on time crimes. And just a heads up, all the April and May film releases have been delayed in France for some reason by a full week. So in terms of the like the crunch speed, as Dark Hour was saying, trying to get a video out the first weekend or a few days after the movie drops, that's actually going to be like completely off the cards for me, because cinemas are releasing stuff a week later. I mean, we just got Kung Fu Panda and Godzilla X Kong this week. So yeah, don't know why. Monkey Man, instead of coming out on the 10th, it's coming out on the 17th for some reason. So yeah, I'm going to be behind, but yeah, it's pretty good, man. Thank you to everyone who was in the chat as well. Thank you to both of our guests and the ones we lost along the way, of course. And yeah, thank you to everyone who sent in super chats as well. Thank you for spending your afternoon, evening, morning, I guess, with two hosts.
Twilight.
Yeah. And Dark Hour, take us out.